The lower limit was too high, and even the upper limit could not be lower. What limited it was only his own strength. He looked at the battlefield. This was because most of the high-level green-headed fog demons on the side of Dark Knight Town had already been dealt with by Nazario, Auguste, Bai Yun, Wuxia, Feng Luo, and other experts. As for the remaining green-headed fog demons, they were completely helpless against the Blazing Sun Army and the Monster Army. This caused a large number of green-headed fog demons to be eliminated at all times. Among them, the 14,000 new violent storm spirits performed the most prominently. Even though they had just entered the battlefield, each of their strength was only at Black Iron Tier elementary grade. However, they were all kingdom-level soldiers after all. Under the influence of the kingdom-level combat talent, the elemental body, and the fact that they were all casting spells under the cover of the sword shield soldiers, it was almost impossible for the green-headed fog demon, who was good at close combat, to hurt them. All the violent storm spirits were casting to their heart's content. Blue-white violent storms that were 3 to 4 meters tall and 1 to 2 meters in diameter were released from their hands, either directly killing the green-headed fog demon in front of them, or causing light or heavy injuries. As the green-headed fog demons were killed one after another, under the influence of the blessing of the war god, a large amount of promotional energy was absorbed by them, and the strength of all the violent storm spirits began to increase rapidly. This also increased the power of their spells again. Zhou was secretly surprised. He had just seen it with his own eyes. A Black Iron Tier intermediate grade violent storm spirit only used 2 death violent storms to kill a Bronze Tier elite green-headed fog demon alone. As for the other Black Iron Tier advanced grade violent storm spirits, it only used 1 death storm to sweep 20 to 30 green-headed fog demons into the sky. Then, they were forcefully killed by the astral winds and lightning in the violent storm. The performance of most violent storm spirits were also very stunning. There were even many stronger ones. Zhou clicked his tongue. Kingdom-level soldiers were indeed strong. Zhou could not help but smile when he thought about how he had only used a few fanatic believer faith divine crystals to exchange for such a powerful soldier type. He watched as the high-end combatants on the green-headed fog demons side decreased, and the low-level green-headed fog demons died in large numbers under the attack of the violent storm spirits. The scales of victory on the battlefield were tilting towards Zhou at a visible speed. Victory was only a matter of time. 2 hours later, the battlefield fell silent. Other than the green-headed fog demon that had been instigated by the insight defection, the remaining green-headed fog demons were all killed by the Blazing Sun Army. At this moment, thousands of green-headed fog demons walked over. Leading them was Ruoji, who had just fought the green-headed fog demon lord. "Greetings, my lord." All the green-headed fog demons knelt on the ground and said in unison, "From today onwards you are my subjects. Come back to the territory with us later. As for who you belong to, those who are good at fighting will join the monster army. As for the green-headed fog demons of the life profession, just continue with your old profession. The rules of the monster army are very simple. The strongest one has the highest status. If any of you are confident that you are invincible in the monster army, as long as you can convince the masses, you can directly become the Legion commander of the monster army. Just let me know later." Zhou shouted. Zhou knew that most of the monster army were aggressive. This was their nature after all. Zhou did not intend to correct them. Instead, he felt that this personality was not bad in wartime. That was why he had set such a rule. Not surprisingly, all the green-headed fog demons and other monster army soldiers immediately howled excitedly after hearing Zhou's words. Their eyes revealed the flames of ambition. Obviously, this rule set by Zhou was very in line with their personalities. When Zhou saw this scene, he nodded slightly in his heart and said solemnly, "While you can compete to see who's stronger, but you can't kill your comrades in the midst of a competition. This is the bottom line. Those who violate the military law will be punished. Yes, listen to the Lord. We want my Lord." All the soldiers of the monster army and the new green-headed fog demon responded in a mess. Zhou nodded slightly. He glanced at the surviving green-headed fog demons. He realized that there were still more than 4,500 left. The others had all died in battle. Fortunately, most of the dead green-headed fog demons were black iron tier and green bronze tier. Most of the green-headed fog demons, above the white silver tier, were still alive, but they were more or less injured. After being treated by the clergyman of the shelter, they were fine. Insight defection was really a good talent. Zhou sighed for the umpteenth time when he saw so many green-headed fog demons. Chapter 286 The Performance of the New Lord Talent. At this moment Ruoji walked up. "My lord, I have something to report," it said respectfully. "What is it?" Zhou asked. When the lord attacked Dark Knight Town, Lord Zaha of Dark Knight Town once sent his subordinates to inform the nearby East Demon City and Red Wasp Town to send reinforcements. However, I was already loyal to the lord at that time. Therefore, the green-headed fog demons it sent out have already been intercepted and killed by me halfway. The letter asking for help has also fallen into my hands. However, the siege of Dark Knight Town by my lord would be known soon. In order to prevent them from attacking my lord, it's better to prepare early," Ruoji said. Zhou looked at it in surprise. This guy was quite smart. He actually stopped the letter asking for help. He wanted to use this opportunity to see if he could fight the other party's reinforcements. What are the levels of the Scarlet Lord's territory in the East Demon City and Red Wasp Town? How strong is the strongest person in their territory? Zhou thought for a few seconds and asked. East Demon City is the territory of the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Scarlet Lord. The Red Wasp Town is the territory of the Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade Scarlet Lord. Because the two of them are the closest to Dark Knight Town, Zaha wanted to ask them for help. As for the strongest people in these two places, the strongest person in the East Demon City is a Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Sickle Fog Mantis Lord, and the strongest person in Red Wasp Town is a White Platinum Tier Intermediate Grade Red-Eyed Blood Wasp Lord. Ruoji said. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. If the strongest was only at the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade, Nazario could still deal with him. The current Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Nazario would have no problem dealing with the Diamond Tier Advanced Grade Scarlet Lord. With its hero slot, it could even fight an Extraordinary Tier Scarlet Lord. This was also where his confidence lay. But at this moment Ruoji said, other than the strongest experts in these two places, East Demon City has an army of 150,000 fog monsters, and Red Wasp Town also has an army of 50,000 bee empresses. Zhou frowned slightly. Then wouldn't there be 200,000 fog monsters in total? Nazario was not afraid, but if they really fought, his Blazing Sun City soldiers might suffer heavy losses. Thinking of this, the thoughts of confrontation in his heart immediately faded. If he had 200,000 soldiers, there was no harm in fighting a dozen reinforcements from these two places. However, if they were at a disadvantage in terms of military strength, instead of fighting head-on, it was better to take a step back and wait. With the growth of his current military strength, 200,000 soldiers could be achieved in a few days, or even surpassed. Wouldn't it be better to fight then? At this moment, Bai Yin also walked over. I've something to report, my lord. I've found the territory stone tablet of Dark Knight Town, she said respectfully. Take me there. Zhou came back to his senses and said, yes, please follow me, my lord. Bai Yin said. Then, the two of them arrived at the lord's manor in Dark Knight Town one after another. In a secret room in the manor, Zhou saw the territory stone tablet. Zhou could not help but click his tongue in wonder when he saw the endurance of the 3 million yuan stone tablet. Fortunately, Bai Yin was no longer the same as before. She only shot 20 arrows and shattered the territory stone tablet with 3 million endurance. The territory token and region token were revealed from the broken territory token tablet. Zhou walked over and picked up the territory token. He realized that this was a yellow gold tier advanced grade territory token. With this yellow gold tier territory token, I can upgrade my territory when I go back. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. His main goal in attacking Dark Knight Town was this yellow gold tier territory token. Now his wish had been fulfilled. Then he picked up the regional token. Zhou looked at it. A text notification appeared. Treasure name, regional token, region name, Dark Knight Town changeable, regional grade, yellow gold tier. Area, about 10,212 square kilometers. Treasure description, the regional lord of Dark Knight Town. A lord who possesses the regional lord and integrates it into the territory stone tablet can become the regional lord of Dark Knight Town and obtain an exclusive regional treasure chest. More than 10,000 square kilometers. This is comparable to 3 to 4 white silver tier regional territories. Zhou lamented. Then he put it away solemnly. After that, he walked out of the room and flew above Dark Knight Town, quietly looking down at the city. It was different from his Blazing Sun City. As a Dark Knight Town that had been established for hundreds of years, the city here was almost 10 times the size of Blazing Sun City. All the building facilities were complete, and there were many yellow gold tier life profession buildings. However, as Zhou took out the territory token, these buildings had already lost the corresponding building effect and became self-built. What a good place. What a pity. If only I could occupy this place. If I can occupy this place, I won't take the territory token. Zhou said regretfully. However, he did not regret it. Zhou had already figured it out. Even though he could fight a kingdom-level faction now, however, this kind of fight was definitely not like occupying an enemy city and fighting a long battle with the various reinforcements, or even the main forces of a kingdom. Instead, he should cooperate with the Aurora Kingdom. The Aurora Kingdom would restrain the main forces of the Taiyan Kingdom on the frontal battlefield, while he fought the enemy from behind and retreated. The enemy would retreat while he fought guerrilla warfare and plundering. This made it impossible for the Taiyan Kingdom to care about each other. In the end, they would gradually devour the other party. Therefore, he had already decided not to stay here for long, let alone leave any subjects behind. Since that was the case, then he would take the territory token and destroy this place. He would definitely not give the reinforcements from the Taiyan Kingdom a chance to make use of this city again. It would be easier for him to make a comeback in the future. More than an hour later, all the green-headed fog demons' corpses were extracted with loots. At the same time, all the injured and dead soldiers were healed and revived with the combined efforts of the doctors and clergy, including the more than 4,500 green-headed fog demons that had survived the Insight defection. Not only did his number of subordinates not decrease when he came out to fight this time, but it even increased. After that, Zhou did not stay any longer. After getting the soldiers to bring all the loots they could take away, he boarded the Black Ghost and prepared to return to Blazing Sun City. This time, Zhou did not fly around randomly. Instead, he obediently entered the Sandstorm Forbidden Land and passed through the safe passage that the Sandstorm Forbidden Land automatically opened. Then, he returned to Blazing Sun City unimpeded. Blazing Sun City. Zhou had just returned when he saw Elder Zheng arranging for someone to register the identity of the new subject. In front of Elder Zheng and the others were 4 long lines, each with more than 200 people. Why are there so many people? Zhou was stunned. Then, he suddenly thought of something and immediately opened his information notification column. There, he discovered many information notifications that he had ignored previously. Lord Talent hint. You have captured a Black Iron Tier Scarlet Lord's territory. Under the influence of the Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror, White Silver Tier. 10 professional subjects with Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade potential have come to join your territory. Lord Talent hint. You have captured a White Platinum Tier Scarlet Lord's territory. Under the influence of the Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror, White Silver Tier. 10 White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Professional subjects have come to join your territory. Lord Talent hint. You have captured a Yellow Gold Tier Regional territory. Under the influence of the Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror, White Silver Tier. 10 Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Professional subjects have come to join your territory. There were many Lord Talent notifications like this. Zhou counted carefully and realized that there were a total of 76 of them. It was the total number of Scarlet Lord territories and regional territories he had captured. There were a total of 760 professional subjects and professionals in these notifications. coupled with the refugees attracted by the Lord of Peace and Prosperity's talent today, and the normal subjects and professionals recruited by the Gate of Summoning, his territory had gained more than 31,000 subjects today alone. Zhou pondered. The population of Blazing Sun City was increasing. Why don't he move some population to Sand Gold City? Chapter 287 White Platinum Tier Blessing of the 10 Gods. The Blessing of the War God. Zhou did not think for long. While a large number of new subjects joined his territory every day, the area of his territory was also expanding day by day. Therefore, he did not have to worry too much about the population reaching the upper limit of the territory for the time being. He suddenly thought of something and called Wuxia, who was closest to him in proximity, over and whispered something into his ear. "All right, my lord, I'll do it now." Wuxia chuckled. Zhou nodded. Then, he returned to his lord manor in his room, and took out a list of loots. It recorded the details of all the loots they had obtained today, after conquering these 6 regional territories, and destroying more than 171,000 fog monsters, as well as the increase in the strength of the legionaries. With the enhancement of the title of the King of Loots and the Strongest Lord, there were a total 4,669 Diamond Tier Mist Cores, 41,587 White Platinum Tier Mist Cores, 283,523 Yellow Gold Tier Mist Cores, 394,861 White Silver Tier Mist Cores, 548,477 Green Bronze Tier Mist Cores, 160 Origin Crystals. There were 205,693 skill books, and 253,697 equipment. More than 260 million units of basic materials, 104,120 True Faith Tier Scarlet Crystals, 52,127 Pious Tier Scarlet Crystals, 14,952 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals, 1 Holy Spirit Scarlet Crystal, 14 Alchemy Pharmacist Recruitment Books, 8 Alchemy Technology Recruitment Books, 18 Mount Contracts, 495 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, 1 Yellow Gold Tier Territory Token, 1 White Silver Tier Territory Token, 15 Green Bronze Tier Territory Tokens, 52 Black Iron Tier Territory Tokens, 1 Yellow Gold Tier Regional Token, 2 White Silver Tier Regional Tokens, 2 Green Bronze Tier Regional Territories, 1 Black Iron Tier Regional Token. Other than that, there were also a few miscellaneous loot. Zhou had already seen all these miscellaneous loots when he was looking at the monster information. Most of them were loots like monster materials, and were not suitable to be placed in the monster ranch to be produced. What made him happier were the Diamond Tier Mist Cores. 4,669 Diamond Tier Mist Cores. "I'm rich now." Zhou smiled. With so many mist cores, he could boldly buy the materials to build the Aurora Tower from the Aurora Kingdom. Perhaps he could buy some other valuable treasures. Then, he looked at the improvement of the soldiers. In today's battle, after killing so many fog monsters, a total of 61,424 people had broken through. Among them, 31,927 were promoted to the Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade and Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade. 20,238 people advanced from Black Iron Tier to Green Bronze Tier. 8,122 people advanced to the White Silver Tier. 1,137 people advanced to the Yellow Gold Tier. Bai Yin had broken through to Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade. Soul Reaper Maris had broken through to the Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. The Spectral Dragon Auguste had also killed a lot of fog monsters. It had already broken through to the Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade. Zhou sighed. It was hard to imagine. This little guy had just been born yesterday. It could only be said that it was no longer the same as before. The blessing of the war god, and the large number of fog monsters that Auguste had destroyed had created a miracle, that it had advanced 2 levels in a short period of time. Zhou was filled with anticipation. In the future, he would only nurture new subordinates faster and faster. This was naturally extremely beneficial to him as a lord. Then, Zhou looked at the summary of the strength of the soldiers at the bottom of the loots list. Now he had a total of 91,596 soldiers from the Blazing Sun Army and the Monster Army under his command. Among them, there were 31,020 Black Iron Tier soldiers. There were 41,850 Bronze Tier soldiers. 17,089 White Silver Tier. There were 1,637 Yellow Gold Tiers. When Zhou saw this, he could not help but look happy. After today's series of battles, the strength of his soldiers had more than doubled. The strategy of nurturing battle with battle was indeed very suitable for him. The current him, even if the enemies brought by the Night Lord back then increased by 10 times, they would probably not be his match. Then, Zhou took out the 6 regional tokens and fused them into his territory stone tablet. After all of them fused in, the total number of regional territories under his command had reached 16. The number of Lord announcements triggered by the number of territories in the previous subregion is 10. I wonder how many regions and territories will be triggered next. 20? Or 30? Or more? Zhou guessed in his heart. If only there were 20 of them, then he would be able to reach it in less than 2 days. However, if that was not the case, he would have to work harder and attack more regional territories. Even though he had been on the entire channel's Lord announcement many times, however, who would complain that there were too many benefits and fame? Then, Zhou took out all his Lord Talent Crystal fragments and Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals. He calculated and realized that he could already upgrade the Blessing of the War God to Yellow Gold Tier. Not only that, he still had 14 White Platinum Tier Lord Talent Crystal fragments. He could still upgrade to the White Platinum Tier after upgrading to the Yellow Gold Tier. Thinking of this, Zhou immediately looked forward to it. He did not waste any time and immediately began to fuse. Zhou first fused 400 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal fragments into 4 White Silver Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals. Then, he used the 59 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals and 10 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal fragments that he had previously synthesized to fuse into 6 White Silver Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals. In the end, he combined them into a Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. Seeing this, Zhou opened his Lord Talent interface and muttered to himself to level up. The next second, as the Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal in his hand emitted an even brighter golden light, a text notification appeared. As you have 5 White Silver Tier Lord Talents at the same time, Monster Ranch Insight Defection, Return to the City, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, and Embrace of the Conqueror, please choose one to advance. I choose the Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God to advance. Zhou said in a low voice. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. The next second, he felt a familiar warm feeling between his eyebrows. Zhou was already familiar with this. He waited calmly for this process to end. A moment later, the warmth on his forehead gradually disappeared. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your White Silver Tier Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, has been upgraded to Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God. The Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent effect after your promotion is as follows: Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, Yellow Gold Tier. Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God. One of the 10 main gods under the Supreme will has blessed you and your combat type professionals. You and your combat type professionals will receive an additional 1000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. Zhou's eyes widened. Fuck. It directly increased from an additional 400% to an additional 1000%? This was only an upgrade to the Yellow Gold Tier. What about White Platinum Tier? Thinking of this, Zhou immediately used 10 White Platinum Tier Lord Talent Crystal fragments to fuse into a White Platinum Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. Then, he directly upgraded the Blessing of the 10 Gods, the Blessing of the War God. The details of the upgraded White Platinum Tier Lord Talent were as follows. Lord Talent, Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, White Platinum Tier. Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, one of the 10 chief gods under the Supreme Will has blessed you and your combat-type professionals. You and your combat-type professionals will receive an additional 2000% promotion energy after killing the enemy. Zhou eyes widened even more after reading it. Good God! Obtained an additional 2000% promotion energy. This effect was too strong. Eliminating one fog monster was equivalent to eliminating 21 fog monsters. From then on, he and his subordinates took off. That was indeed the case. It was indeed not wrong for him to insist on upgrading this Lord Talent. After this Lord Talent is upgraded to the mythical tier, will it obtain an additional 10,000% promotion energy increase? Zhou could not help but think. Chapter 288 Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade Territory. Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade Summoning Gate. If that was the case in the future, if his subordinates wanted to increase their strength, they would not have to worry about anything else. They only had to worry about the upper limit of their potential. Zhou could not help but think. Then, he looked at the remaining Lord Talent crystal fragments. After just leveling up, he was left with 74 black iron tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 443 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 7 white silver tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 3 yellow gold tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 4 white platinum tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 10 extraordinary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 2 legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. Zhou shook his head. It would be difficult for him to upgrade it to the Diamond Tier Lord Talent next. This was because he did not even have a Diamond Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragment. If he wanted to use the White Platinum Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragment to forcefully synthesize it, he would need 100 White Platinum Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments to fuse 1 Diamond Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. It was too far away. However, even so, Zhou did not mind too much. The White Platinum Tier Blessing of the 10 Gods, Blessing of the War God, was already so powerful that it exploded. Zhou looked forward to how much his soldiers' strength would increase. After cleaning up the monster ranch tomorrow, he would slowly save them to level up again. It would level up one day. After that, he planned to upgrade his territory. So he called the Catgirl sisters Nazario and Auguste and walked out of the Lord Manor. Zhou looked at the building in front of him. A line of text appeared. Do you want to upgrade the Lord Manor? Yes, he said. The next second, 12 million units of basic materials, 100 yellow gold tier mist cores, 80 origin crystals, and 1 yellow gold tier territory token disappeared from the territory warehouse. Boom! A golden light immediately covered the entire Lord's residence. A moment later, the golden light dissipated. The obviously expanded Lord Manor appeared in front of Zhou. Rows of golden text notifications appeared. Congratulations! Your Lord's residence has been upgraded to a yellow gold tier intermediate grade building. There is an additional gaming hall. Your territory has been upgraded to yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Territory token endurance increased to 2 million/2 million. Your territory has expanded to 200,000 M times 200,000 M times 20,000 M. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Basic building blueprint treasure chest. Yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Lord Talent hint. The upper limit of the enemy Lord faction that you can induce insight defection has been raised to epic tier elementary grade. Lord Talent hint. Your monster ranches can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent hint. The strength of the clergy in your Goddess of Lives shelter has increased. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. It had just been upgraded yesterday. He leveled up again today. He was quite satisfied with the speed at which his territory increased. The gaming hall was a good place. He could go and play when he was bored in the future. As for the basic building blueprint treasure chest, yellow gold tier intermediate grade, he would give it to Elder Zheng like before. Then, Zhou looked at the upgrade requirements. All other resources. I'm just short of 2 yellow gold tier territory tokens. He only knew that a red wasp town was the territory of a yellow gold tier Scarlet Lord. There must be a yellow gold tier territory token there. As for the rest, he did not know. I'll ask Wu Tu when he comes back. Or ask Ruoji again. There must be many yellow gold tier territories in the Taiyan kingdom. Zhou thought. He was not in a hurry. After that, he came to the gate of summoning and spent 800,000 units of basic materials, 5,000 white silver tier mist cores, and 500 yellow gold tier mist cores, to upgrade it to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Congratulations! Your gate of summoning has been upgraded to a yellow gold tier intermediate grade building. You can summon plus 20 subjects every day. You will definitely summon 20 professionals every day among the subjects. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 3, you can summon 725 subjects a day. You will definitely summon 24 professionals every day among the subjects. And the professional levels of 4 of the professionals will be the same as your territory level. Zhou nodded slightly. However, there were not many waves in his heart. After all, he was not sure about his current territory. After upgrading the gate of summoning, the only valuable ones were probably the 4 professional subjects of the same level as the territory. Then he looked at its upgrade requirements. Construction upgrade. 500,000 units of wood, 500,000 units of fine sand, 500,000 units of metal, 500,000 units of stone, 1,000 yellow gold tier mist core. Territory level upgraded to yellow gold tier advanced grade. Zhou retracted his gaze. If he wanted to upgrade the gate of summoning, he had to wait until his territory level increased. Reporting to my lord. The princess of the Aurora Kingdom is outside the manor. The guard's voice came from outside. Invite them in. Zhou was stunned before saying, Yes, my lord. The guard replied. Soon, Zhou saw Li Ye and the maid, Yu Qiao, walk in together. The 3 of them chatted briefly, before the other party told them why he was here. Zhou, we're here to bid farewell. Li Ye said politely. Has Elder Zhao built the Aurora Tower? As expected, Zhou asked. It's already built. That's why we're preparing to bring it back to the Aurora Kingdom. After saying that, she flipped her right hand, and 20 territory fusion certificates appeared in her hand. Then she handed them to Zhou. This is the territory fusion certificate that my father just sent over. I hope they can help you, she said gently. Why are there so many? Zhou could not help but be shocked when he saw so many territory fusion certificates. Didn't she say that the Aurora Kingdom only had 300 to 400 territory fusion certificates after so many years? Most of them are just some black iron tier and green bronze tier territory fusion certificates. There's only one white platinum tier territory fusion certificate. This is nothing to our Aurora Kingdom. Li Ye explained. Thank you very much. After Zhou finished speaking, he secretly remembered this favor and took the 20 territory fusion certificates. He took a rough look. Among them, there were 8 black iron tier, 5 green bronze tier, 4 white silver tier, 2 yellow gold tier, and 1 white platinum tier. This could almost fuse all my current territory. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. Then, he suddenly remembered something. If I merge all the territories, will it affect me from triggering the entire channel's Lord announcement related to the number of territories in the region? Zhou suddenly reacted. Chapter 289 Territory Fusion. Zhou did not think too much about it. Instead, he tried to ask the Supreme Will. In the end, the Supreme Will really gave an answer. Supreme Will notification. It won't affect. These 3 simple words made Zhou heave a sigh of relief. Since that was the case, then fuse. Zhou first took out a black iron tier territory fusion certificate. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use the territory fusion certificate, black iron tier? Yes, he said. The next second, an illusory map appeared in front of him. It was a map of the Blazing Sun Desert and the surrounding territory. There were a total of 4 regions. Other than the Sand Gold City and Thorn Dune, there was also a black iron tier regional territory that he had just conquered that day that was connected to the Sandstorm Forbidden Land. This area not only bordered the Sandstorm Forbidden Land, but it also bordered the Blazing Sun Desert a little. However, this border was extremely inconspicuous on the map. Moreover, because the terrain was complicated and not suitable for marching, Zhou Zhou subconsciously ignored it. He did not expect it to be considered a regional territory that could be fused because of this border. Then wouldn't he be able to fuse all the regions and territories he had just conquered today through the sandstorm forbidden land? At this thought, Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. He did not think for long, because a new text notification appeared. Please choose the regional territory you want to fuse from the following map. Zhou Zhou retracted his thoughts and thought for a moment. He prepared to test the waters first, so he clicked on the Black Iron Tier territory of Thorn Dune. Right on the heels of that, he saw the border between the Blazing Sun Desert and Thorn Dune gradually become blurry and finally disappear. At the same time, rows of new text notifications appeared one by one. You have chosen Thorn Dune, Black Iron Tier region territory, as the target for the fusion of your initial territory. Fusion in progress. Fusion successful. Congratulations. Your initial territory, Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier region territory, has successfully fused with Thorn Dune, Black Iron Tier region territory. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier territory level has increased slightly. The range of your Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier territory has increased. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier territory has perfectly inherited all the territory resources of the original territory and the fusion territory. The desert terrain of your initial territory, the Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier, has been slightly improved and has increased in vegetation. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier, energy density and energy level have increased slightly. Please continue to fuse regional territories and increase the level of your regional territories. It didn't increase the level of the regional territory? Zhou Zhou frowned slightly when he saw the first notification. It seemed that fusing only one Black Iron Tier regional territory was not enough to directly upgrade the Blazing Sun Desert from a Black Iron Tier regional territory to a Green Bronze Tier regional territory. He had to fuse more regional territories. Among the regional territory bonuses after the fusion, the second last one surprised and enlightened him. So increasing the level of the territory can increase the energy density and energy level in the territory. Doesn't that mean that the higher the level of the territory, the easier it is to give birth to experts? There's actually such a use for increasing the level of the territory? Zhou Zhou was surprised. In order for professionals to increase their strength, they could not only eliminate the fog monsters. Through cultivation, absorbing the energy of traveling between heaven and earth, could also slowly accumulate promotion energy to increase his strength realm. For example, a martial artist could increase their strength level by cultivating martial techniques. During the training process, their body could spontaneously absorb energy through martial arts moves. Even soldier-type professionals could let their bodies absorb energy through daily training to constantly become stronger. Compared to leveling up by killing monsters, even though it was not that efficient. However, the advantage was that it was very safe, and there was almost no danger. That was also two ways for professionals to increase their strength. If professionals lived in a place with high energy density and level for a long time, their strength would naturally increase, even if they did not cultivate hard. If there were professionals who worked hard to cultivate in such an environment, the speed at which their strength increased could be described as 1,000 miles a day. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou immediately became determined to work hard to increase the level of his territory. Who didn't want to become stronger just by lying down? Without any hesitation, he clicked on Sand Gold City and fused its territory into the scorching desert. You have chosen Sand Gold City, Black Iron Tier region territory, as the target for the fusion of your initial territory. Congratulations, your initial territory, Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier region territory, has successfully fused with Sand Gold City, Black Iron Tier region territory. Your Blazing Sun Desert, Black Iron Tier territory level has increased greatly. The Blazing Sun Desert has been upgraded from a Black Iron Tier regional territory to a Green Bronze Tier regional territory. The range of your Blazing Sun Desert territory has increased. Your Blazing Sun Desert territory has perfectly inherited all the resources of the original territory and the fusion territory. Your initial territory, the Blazing Sun Desert, has been slightly improved. Some parts have been changed to the Gobi terrain. The energy density and energy level of your Blazing Sun Desert regional territory has reached the standard of a Green Bronze Tier regional territory. Please continue to fuse with the regional territory and increase the level of the regional territory. I've advanced to a Green Bronze Tier regional territory. From the looks of it, if I want to upgrade a Black Iron Tier regional territory to a Green Bronze Tier regional territory, I need to fuse 2 Black Iron Tier regional territories. Or can I directly fuse a Green Bronze Tier regional territory? Zhou guessed. Thinking of this, he first pulled up the information of the regional territory of the Blazing Sun Desert. Area name, Blazing Sun Desert changeable. Regional grade, Green Bronze Tier. Territory, Lord of the Blazing Sun, area. About 1,490 square kilometers. Zhou looked at the last regional territory information and compared it to the other Green Bronze Tier regional territories. He realized that their area was the same. Perhaps the number of territories fused is not the most important. As long as the area of the territory reaches the standard of a Green Bronze Tier regional territory, it can be promoted. Zhou guessed. After that, he continued to fuse with the surrounding territory. Blackrock Desert, Silent Wasteland, Withered Forest Plains, White Silver Tier. Yellow Earth Plain, White Silver Tier. The regions and territories that he had conquered in the past were fused into the Blazing Sun Desert. Towards this, even though Zhou felt a little emotional, he did not feel any pity. Instead, he was looking forward to it. He did not know what level his Blazing Sun Desert would reach after they were all fused. A moment later, Zhou looked at the map in front of him and fell silent. Most of the territory on the map had been fused. Only 2 regional territories had yet to fuse. They were the Green Forest and Dark Night Town that had just been conquered today. I'm just short of a White Silver Tier territory fusion certificate. Before I can fuse with Green Forest, then we can fuse with the Dark Night Town that borders it. Zhou felt a headache coming on. Chapter 290. Li Huiwa recovered. An extraordinary tier advance grade Tailor Master joined. Zhou looked at the territory of the Blazing Sun Desert that was already at the Yellow Gold Tier. He thought for a moment and got someone to invite Li Ya. If he did not think of a way to fuse these 2 regions, he would not be able to sleep tonight. Fortunately, the other party had yet to leave. Otherwise, he would have to wait for Li Ya to return first. After Li Ya came over, Zhou chatted briefly and asked her if she could provide him with some more territory fusion certificates. I can buy them with Miss Cores. Zhou said. He was not lacking in Miss Cores. It was naturally best if he could buy them. As for getting the other party to provide the territory fusion certificate for free, Zhou did not have the face to do so even if Li Ya was willing. Friends were meant to take such conscienceless advantage. Is it not enough? Li Ya could not help but be stunned when she heard Zhou's words. Then she asked curiously, I'm missing a White Silver Tier territory fusion certificate. And we'll probably be needing a lot of them in the future, so I want to buy more. Zhou told the truth. Li Ya clicked her tongue. She had just provided 4 White Silver Tier territory fusion certificates. Was it actually not enough? It was probably difficult for outsiders to imagine that this handsome lord in front of them had only developed for a short 14 days. Okay, I'll speak to my father when I get back. Li Ya agreed without hesitation. Even though her father wanted to keep those territory fusion certificates and fuse an extraordinary tier regional territory for the Aurora Kingdom, after he had accumulated enough, it would increase the foundation of the country. However, now that the Aurora Kingdom was surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, the situation was not optimistic. They could no longer consider such a long-term plan. Under such circumstances, the territory fusion certificate was not so important. Thank you for your help. You can say that I'll use the Diamond Tier Miss Core to buy it when you speak with His Majesty. If not, Extraordinary Tier Miss Core works too. Zhou said. With the Heavenly Mist Treasure Bag. Not to mention the Extraordinary Tier Mist Core. Even Legendary Tier Mist Cores could be created for them. However, This matter was too ridiculous, so Zhou did not say anything. Extraordinary tier mist cores? Li Ya's eyes lit up. A mist core of this level could be considered a top-notch resource for their Aurora Kingdom. She did not expect Zhou to possess them too. Li Ya suddenly felt that she could not understand Zhou. He was completely unlike a novice lord, but it was fine. The more she could not understand Zhou, the more it proved that her judgment was right. Father will definitely agree, Li Ya said. Zhou acknowledged. After chatting for a while, Li Ya raised the idea of returning to the Aurora Kingdom. When Zhou heard this, he sent her out of Blazing Sun City. He only returned to his territory after seeing her follow a group of Aurora Kingdom professionals through a spatial teleportation array. As soon as he returned, he saw someone waiting for him at the entrance of the manor. It was Bao Xiaoer, whom he had not seen for a long time. My lord, you're back. Bao Xiaoer's eyes lit up. For reasons unknown, Zhou could actually see a wistful expression in the other party's eyes. Wistful? What was going on? He thought that he had seen something wrong, so he did not think too much about it. Long time no see. What have you been up to these days? Zhou nodded and smiled. I'm taking care of Teacher Li. I came here today to tell my lord something. Teacher Li has already recovered. She can walk freely now, but not too quickly. Bao Xiaoer said. Teacher Li has woken up? Bring me to her. Zhou immediately said. Bao Xiaoer nodded and led him to her house. Soon, the two of them arrived at Bao Xiaoer's house. He had just arrived. Zhou saw Zhang Li supporting a white-haired woman with a kind and smiling face as she walked around the door. It was Li Huiyue, who had recovered. Bai Yuejing also stood at the side. At this moment, he looked at Li Huiyue, who had recovered, with a smile on his face. The three of them soon discovered Zhou and Bao Xiaoer. Greetings, my lord. Zhang Li and Bai Yuejing immediately said respectfully. At this moment, Li Huiyue also realized that the young man in front of her was her benefactor. Even though she had long heard of it, she could not help but be surprised when she really saw Zhou's appearance. He was too young. She immediately bowed without thinking and said gratefully, Greetings, my lord. Thank you, my lord, for saving my teacher's life. You're too kind, elder one. Zhou immediately walked forward and helped the other party up. Bao Xiaoer and your disciple, Zhang Li, are very outstanding subjects in my territory. As a lord, how can I not help if I can when their teacher needs help? He smiled and said, My lord. Bao Xiaoer and Zhang Li were quite touched. If not for the fact that the two of them were already dead loyal, their loyalty would definitely have increased greatly. Li Huiyue smiled and nodded. I have nothing to repay you for your kindness. If you don't mind, I'm willing to be a tailor in your territory for the rest of my life, and be at your disposal, she said. Zhou's eyes immediately lit up. This was an extraordinary tier tailor. It was equivalent to a talent attracted by reputation rating at the same level as Bai Yuejing, Qian Jiangsheng, and Luofeng. Who could refuse such a good thing? Then I'll have to rely on Elder Li for my territory in the future. Zhou immediately agreed with a smile. I'll do my best. Li Huiyue agreed without hesitation. Seeing this, Zhou opened her attribute information and took a look. He realized that Li Huiyue was actually an extraordinary tier advanced grade tailor, with extraordinary tier advanced grade potential. Moreover, her loyalty was actually 95. This was the first time Zhou had seen such a loyal subject, who had just joined the territory. Zhou looked at the other party's upper limit of potential, and immediately thought of his bottle of epic tier potential advancement potion. He considered it for a moment but didn't say it. Zhou was now an experienced lord. There should be evidence for rewards and punishments. It would not be good to give the precious and rare epic tier potential promotion potion to the other party for no reason in front of so many people. It was not too late to wait for the other party to make a contribution. Then, Zhou and Li Huiyue chatted for a while more before leaving with Elder Bai. It's all thanks to you, Elder Bai, that we were able to save Elder Li and let the territory have the loyalty of an extraordinary tier advanced grade tailor. Zhou and Elder Bai chatted as they walked. My lord, you're too kind. It's not all me. If not for the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies that my lord gave me to use, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to do anything about Li Hui's illness. Bai Yuejing sighed. This time, it was all thanks to the help of the senior with superb medical skills, in essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. Otherwise, he would definitely not be able to do it alone. Unfortunately, that senior's consciousness did not seem to be complete. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to treat Li Huiwa faster and better. Zhou remembered when he heard this. He remembered that he had released a deal on the exchange a long time ago, about buying ancestral statues. He also focused on purchasing the statues of Sun Ximiao and Lu Ban. But there was no response. Zhou was not surprised. After all, not every lord was as abnormal as Zhou, who could have advanced architects to build high-level buildings like the Imperial Ancestral Temple in the early stages. At this moment he suddenly sensed something, and was stunned for a moment. Then he quickly opened the exchange. When he saw the notification from the exchange, his eyes widened. Chapter 291 Two Ancestral Statues. What a coincidence! Zhou was in disbelief. The information on the exchange was that someone had sold him a statue of ancestor Sun Ximiao. Moreover, it happened to be at the white silver tier. It could be fused and upgraded with the statue of ancestor Sun Ximiao in his Imperial Ancestral Temple. And the person who sold this statue was the Green Phoenix Lord he had met once. Zhou naturally would not forget this beautiful compatriot, who had once fought with him on the Lord battlefield. At this moment, the other party sent a message. Green Phoenix Lord, Great Lord, are you there? Lord of the Blazing Sun, I'm here. I didn't expect you to be the first person to trade this statue with me. Green Phoenix Lord. Hehe. I saw your deal hanging for a long time without being cancelled. I guess that no one sold you the ancestor statue. Green Phoenix Lord, it's too normal. To date, I've killed at least 30,000 fog monsters in my territory. Only then did this ancestor statue drop. Green Phoenix Lord. If not for the fact that the architect in my territory isn't at the right level to build the ancestral temple now, I wouldn't have transacted this ancestral statue with you. It's too rare after all. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Yes, what price do you want? Green Phoenix Lord. 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. This price is not expensive. Even though it's only a white silver tier ancestor statue, there won't be more than 10 in the hands of all the cerulean planet human lords after all. I am not trying to cheat you. Zhou smiled and agreed. 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores? Was that considered money? He had obtained more than 4,600 diamond tier mist cores today. He directly obtained 280,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. 1,000 of them was nothing to him. Moreover, the Green Phoenix Lord was right. Even if an ancestor statue was only white silver tier, at this stage, its value and rarity were not inferior to a diamond tier equipment. Not to mention that the Green Wan Lord had proposed to trade 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores. Even if she said she wanted 1,000 diamond tier mist cores, Zhou would agree after feigning hesitation. On the other side, the Green Phoenix Lord was stunned when she saw that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had actually agreed so readily. Then she regretted it. She seemed to have asked for too little. Some lords on the World Channel had long said that the Lord of the Blazing Sun might be the richest lord among all the human lords on Cerulean Planet. From the looks of it, it seemed to be true. He actually agreed to 1,000 mist cores without bargaining. She wanted to type, "Can I increase the price?" But halfway through, she hesitated and deleted the words one by one. Her relationship with the Lord of the Blazing Sun was quite good now. There was no need to ruin his impression of her because of the mist cores. Green Phoenix Lord. Then let's trade now. The Green Phoenix Lord no longer hesitated and immediately said. If she didn't say it earlier, she was afraid that she would back out. Lord of the Blazing Sun, all right. After that, the two of them made a deal. After the transaction, both of them were quite satisfied. At this moment, the other party sent another message. Green Phoenix Lord. Big Boss Blazing Sun. Do you really not plan to establish an alliance in the future? Green Phoenix Lord. If you establish an alliance in the future, our Green Phoenix Pact will join you. Hehe. Zhou was stunned. For a moment, He did not know if the other party was joking or serious. Lord of the Blazing Sun, let's see how it goes. Zhou typed. The Green Phoenix Lord could not help but be a little surprised when she saw Zhou's reply. This tone. It did not seem to be very resistant to establishing an alliance. Didn't the lords on the World Channel all say that the Lord of the Blazing Sun was a loner? She clicked her tongue in her heart. The Green Phoenix Lord did not dare to imagine what would happen to their cerulean planet Lord after the Lord of the Blazing Sun establishes his own Lord alliance. After that, the two of them chatted for a while more before saying goodnight to each other. Seeing this, Zhou was about to go to the Imperial Ancestral Temple and fuse the statues of Sun Simiao's ancestors. But at this moment, another transaction message came from the exchange. Zhou was stunned. Then, he was surprised to discover that this was actually another cerulean planet human who wanted to trade with him for the statue of the cerulean planet's ancestor. However, this person was a person called the Fertile Land Lord. Zhou did not know him. At this moment, the other party also sent a message. Fertile Land Lord, hello Big Boss. My name is Nong Chunglin, Lord of the Blazing Sun. You don't have to call me Big Boss. Just call me Lord of the Blazing Sun. Zhou sat down again and sent him a message. Fertile Land Lord, Big Boss, you're too humble. I'm a farming lord. I even received the buff from your sword of Xian Yuan previously. Lord of the Blazing Sun, it's fine. The enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan is meant for all the cerulean planet human lords. Zhou did not care. Ever since the buff effect of the sword of Xian Yuan spread, he had seen many farming lords who expressed their gratitude to him. After all, even though the environment was not good now, there were still many people who knew how to be grateful. There were even lords who wanted to give him some farm byproducts. Zhou did not want it because he was busy every day. However, even though he did not care, his initial impression of this person was still much better. Fertile Land Lord, thank you. To be honest, I'm also a lord with a lord talent. Moreover, the lord talent is related to agriculture. The production of crops will more or less affect the level and strength of the farmers in our territory. Fertile Land Lord. Therefore, with the enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan, the effect of my lord talent is doubled, so I'm very grateful to you. Fertile Land Lord. Therefore, with the enhancement of your Xian Yuan sword, the effect of my lord talent is doubled, so I'm very grateful to you. Fertile Land Lord. I know Big Boss Blazing Sun needs this, so I want to give it to you. Fertile Plains. Nong Chunglin looked at the chat interface in front of him nervously. Actually, he had wanted to give the Lord of the Blazing Sun something a long time ago, as a repayment on the enhancement of the sword of Xian Yuan. However, what others said was their business. In Nong Chunglin's mind, his teacher and family had taught him many human principles since he was young. One of the human principles was, as a person, you have to know how to repay kindness. Don't be an ingrate. As a farming player, Nong Chunglin's thoughts were not complicated, so he agreed with this logic. Previously, he also wanted to give him some agricultural byproducts. However, after thinking about it, he felt that the Lord of the Blazing Sun might not need such a thing. Therefore, he temporarily put aside the idea of giving gifts. Until today, when he was collecting the loot, he obtained an ancestor statue. The highest level architect in his territory was only at the green bronze tier intermediate grade. He could not build the Imperial Ancestral Temple at all. Therefore, this ancestor statue was temporarily useless to him. But even if it was useful, he also planned to give it to Zhou. Other than wanting to repay the benefits of the sword of Xian Yuan, he also had his own thoughts. He had to find a backer for himself in this chaotic world. Chapter 292. The Fertile Land Lord voluntarily seeking refuge. Ancestor Liu Bei. As a farming lord, it was very difficult for him to survive in this world without a powerful lord as his backer. The final outcome might very well be his farming results and become someone else's wedding dress. He did not feel safe with the other lords. Even though the Lord of the Blazing Sun was feared by the other top-notch lords, however, his reputation was very good among the lower-level lords. Not to mention anything else, Just the large amount of supplies sold by the Lord of the Blazing Sun every day, especially the soldier class change certificates, allowed most low-level lords to reap a lot of benefits. Many low-level lords even had such a saying. The Lord of the Blazing Sun was the Lord talent they relied on to survive in this chaotic world. This was not bragging. Instead, it was the true thoughts of many lords. Nong Chenglin had such an epiphany. Many professions in his territory came from buying the class change certificates sold by the Lord of the Blazing Sun. If not for the military professionals created by these soldier class change certificates, he might not even be able to complete the basic goal of the Lord battlefield activity. That was why he wanted to find the Lord of the Blazing Sun as his backer. In the words he had just said, revealing his Lord talent intentionally or unintentionally also meant to show his ability and value. On the other side, Zhou was really surprised to hear the fertile landlord's words. The value of a statue of the cerulean planet's human ancestor was needless to say. Even the Green Phoenix Lord would not give it to him for nothing. He did not expect this lord called Nong Chenglin to actually give him a thank you gift of this level. Moreover, the Lord talent he mentioned attracted Zhou's attention. Agricultural Lord talent? He looked thoughtful. Now there were more than 100,000 people in his territory. Moreover, this number would increase every day. With so many people, just the daily consumption of food was a problem. Now, his territory was buying food from Sand Gold City to satisfy the daily food needs of the territory's subjects. However, this was not a long-term solution. Provisions moved before troops. Having your own food production channel is a necessary foundation for development. Previously, he had not thought about this for the time being, because he was too busy. Now that this fertile landlord had come over himself, perhaps he could try to make him submit to him. He thought for a moment and typed, "Lord of the Blazing Sun, I can't take it for nothing. How about this? I'll give you two choices. Lord of the Blazing Sun. First, I'll give you 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores to buy this ancestor statue of yours. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Secondly, I will use the Master Servant Territory contract to turn your territory into my subordinate territory. I will still give you 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores as your territory's development funds. In addition, I will also protect your territory's development and give you some resources that can assist your development. For example, I will rent you land for farming or provide you with seeds that you don't have. Lord of the Blazing Sun. But the price is that you and your territory have to be absolutely loyal to me. Moreover, from now on, the food produced in your territory has to be sold to us at the lowest price given that you have a certain profit." Zhou did not say anything about giving their agricultural produce to him for free. This fertile land lord was a farming lord who mainly focused on agricultural development. If he took them all for free, he would be letting the other party and his subjects die. Zhou naturally would not do such a thing. Moreover, Zhou now had a large number of uninhabited territories under his command. These territories were equivalent to being abandoned. It was better to hand it over to the other party to farm. On the other side, Nong Chenglin was immediately overjoyed when he heard the Lord of the Blazing Sun's words. He was still thinking about how to ask the other party to be his backer. He did not expect the Lord of the Blazing Sun to take the initiative to mention it. Just what I want. Nong Chenglin did not care about the loyalty the other party mentioned. Even though he had only been in this world for more than 10 days, he had long become accustomed to doing as the Romans do. He was used to loyalty, a term that was unfamiliar to modern people like him. As long as he could live comfortably, he could even sell himself. What more loyalty? He took out 2 items and initiated the transaction without hesitation. Zhou fell silent when he saw the 2 items. One of them was naturally the statue of the cerulean planet's ancestor statue. The second was a green bronze tier Master Servant Territory contract. Lord of the Blazing Sun. You're already prepared? Fertile Land Lord. Who can refuse to be protected by Big Boss Blazing Sun? He flattered Zhou, even though it was true. Zhou was speechless. But he still accepted the deal. He first looked at the statue of the cerulean planet's ancestor statue. It was a 3 to 4 meters tall statue. He was wearing the clothes of an ancient emperor. His ears were on his shoulders, and his hands were above his knees. His eyes were extremely long and narrow, giving people the illusion that they could see his ears. This is Liu Bei. Zhou was stunned. At this moment, a text notification appeared. Treasure name: Cerulean Planet's Ancestor Statue, Liu Bei, Treasure Grade. Yellow Gold Tier, Treasure Effect. Place it in the shrine of the Imperial Ancestral Temple, and activate the Ancestor Statue's Ancestral Enhancement effect on territory, subjects, or lords. Treasure Description: Emperor Zhaolai of the ancient Shu Kingdom of China, courtesy name Xuanda. After Lu Sheng, the Prince of Zhongshan, the founding emperor and politician of the Shu Han. It's really him. I wonder what Liu Bei's ancestral blessing is? Zhou was a little curious. However, he was not in a hurry to send it into the ancestral temple. Instead, he looked at the green bronze tier Lord Servant Territory contract beside him. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use it? Yes, Zhou said. Please choose the lord you want to sign the Master Servant Territory contract with. When Zhou saw this, he asked for the name of the other party's territory. After knowing, he immediately said, "The Fertile Lord of Fertile City." A request to sign a Master Servant Territory contract has been sent to the Fertile City Fertile Land Lord. Please wait patiently. Zhou waited. Soon, the text notification appeared again. Fertile City, Fertile Land Lord has agreed to your Master Servant Territory contract request, and has officially become your subordinate territory. You have activated the Special Territory Information Column, Subordinate Territory Column. A new subordinate territory, Fertile City, has been added to your Subordinate Territory column. You have the sovereignty of Fertile City. The Lord of Fertile City and his subjects cannot go against your orders, as the Lord of the main territory. At the same time, as the Lord of the main territory, you have to bear the responsibility of protecting your subordinate territory. Your territory has a special building, Spatial Teleportation Array, Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. You can choose to share the effect of your Lord talent with your subordinate territory. Fertile Land Lord. Can I call you my Lord now, Big Boss? Lord of the Blazing Sun, sure. Fertile Land Lord. Then can I bring the matter of me becoming your subordinate territory to the World Channel? Hehe, I want to show off. Even though Zhou was speechless, he agreed. In any case, he did not intend to treat this matter as a secret. In the future, he would obtain more lords through the Lord Subordinate Territory scroll. It was destined to be public in the future. What he needed to consider now was what talent effect to share with him. According to the text notification, the shared Lord talent effect was only partial, so he had to consider it. A moment later, he made his decision. Chapter 293: Nong Chenglin's Agricultural Talent. Agricultural Expert. Let's still use the blessing of the war god. Zhou thought. Didn't the Fertile Land Lord feel that he lacked the strength to protect himself and wanted to find a backer? Then I'll give you the blessing of the war god that can quickly increase the combat strength of your territory. As for sending troops to help them, that was impossible. It was all right to protect his underlings once or twice. Zhou was not interested in being someone else's nanny. Share this talent with the Fertile Land Lord. Blessing of the 10 gods. Blessing of the war god. Zhou thought to himself. A text notification appeared. Main Servant Territory hint. The Lord talent has been shared successfully. Main Servant Territory hint. You can check the specific effect of the current shared talent, and can modify or retract the current shared Lord talent at any time. Zhou muttered, check. The next second, the specific information of the Lord talent that had been shared appeared in front of Zhou. Zhou took a look. Then he raised his eyebrows. This was because he realized that the shared blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, had actually been reduced from white platinum tier to yellow gold tier. Is this why I can only share a portion of the Lord talent effect? Zhou was deep in thought. He tried to adjust it, but he realized that he really could not adjust it upwards. He could only adjust it down. It seems that the yellow gold tier blessing of the 10 gods, the blessing of the war god, is already the limit of what I can share. Can't share any more. Zhou thought. Then he tried to ask how to increase the effect of the Lord talent. Supreme will notification. Raise the level of the Lord talent. Zhou thought about it. This was in line with his desire to upgrade the blessing of the war god. He then checked the Lord talent effect shared by Linger. In the end, he realized that the blessing of the white silver tier war god was still there. He could only obtain an additional 400% promotion energy. When Zhou saw this, he directly raised it to 1000%, reaching the limit of the yellow gold tier Lord talent. At the same time, just as Zhou was sharing the blessing of the war god, the text notification of sharing talents also appeared in front of Linger and Nong Chunlin. Your lord of the main territory has shared with you a yellow gold tier Lord talent. Blessing of the 10 gods. Blessing of the war god. You can check the specific information of this Lord talent. After seeing the specific effects of the talent, Nong Chunlin and Linger were shocked. Linger only felt that her big brother was really amazing. She also remembered that she had only shared a portion of the Lord's talent effect. Nong Chunlin was even more shocked. Obtained an additional 1000% promotion energy. Doesn't that mean that destroying one monster is equivalent to destroying 11 monsters? This Lord talent is actually so terrifying. He muttered to himself. Then he realized something even more terrifying. According to the notification, the shared Lord talent was only part of the effect of the Lord talent of the Lord's main territory. There were already rumors on the World Channel that the Lord talent of the Lord of the Blazing Sun had already advanced to the mythical tier Lord talent after the novice Lord test. Could it be that the Lord's Lord talent is the blessing of the mythical tier war god? Thinking of this, Nong Chunlin gasped. The white platinum tier blessing of the 10 gods. The blessing of the war master god was already so terrifying. How ridiculous would the mythical tier talent effect be? At this moment, Nong Chunlin was especially glad that he had joined the Lord of the Blazing Sun and become his subordinate territory. This talent, he would definitely dominate a region in the future, as long as he did not die midway. It was even possible to fight for the position of the Supreme Lord, that even the lords of all races wanted. When the time comes, no matter what, he was a subject of the dragon. At this moment, his information bar suddenly flashed. It was a message from the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Come over through the spatial teleportation array. I'll get the guards to pick you up. Nong Chunlin was stunned. However, he did not think too much about it. He only thought that his new lord wanted to meet him face to face and discuss his future development. It was a very reasonable request. He called over a maid and tidied himself up grandly. He put on the most expensive but polite clothes and came to the spatial teleportation array. There was no time to admire the appearance of the spatial teleportation array that had appeared out of thin air in the territory. After knowing how to operate this spatial teleportation array, he immediately teleported to Blazing Sun City. A moment later, when Nong Chunlin was led to the Lord Manor and entered the meeting hall, he saw Zhou and a cute little girl sitting together and chatting. You're Nong Chunlin, right? I'm the Lord of the Blazing Sun. My real name is Zhou. Take a seat first. Zhou said when he saw Nong Chunlin. Yes, my lord. Nong Chunlin sat down nervously, even though the young man in front of him looked very young. However, as a middle-aged man, he felt a real sense of oppression when facing the other party. The Lord of the Blazing Sun is definitely very strong. It's either white silver tier or yellow gold tier. Nong Chunlin was secretly shocked. The promotion energy required for a lord to advance was extremely high. Even with the enhancement of his lord talent, he was only at the green bronze tier intermediate grade after farming non-stop every day. This was already considered not bad among the human lords of the Cerulean planet. Nong Chunlin really could not imagine how the other party had increased his strength to such a terrifying level. At this moment, Zhou stopped talking. He looked at Nong Chunlin and asked, Can you let me see your lord talent? I'm more curious. Of course. Nong Chunlin immediately agreed and shared his lord talent information with Zhou. Zhou looked over. Lord talent, agricultural expert, talent effect 1. You are born with a special life profession, agricultural expert. You also have rich agricultural knowledge and practical ability. Talent effect 2. When you summon your subjects every day, there is a higher chance of summoning a farmer-type life profession. There is also a very small chance of attracting farmers from the outside world to join your territory. Talent effect 3. You and the farmer-type professionals in your territory can obtain promotion energy by planting and harvesting crops, thereby increasing your strength and the level of the farmers in your territory. Zhou was a little surprised after reading it, even though this Lord Talent was only at the green bronze tier. Its effect was indeed very practical for farmers. He looked away and said to the two of them, I invited the two of you over this time because I have something to tell you. You're all my subordinate territory. You should have already seen the Lord Talent I shared with you, right? I see it. Big brother, the Lord Talent you shared is so powerful. Linger looked at Zhou with admiration. Big brother. Was she the Lord's family? Nong Chunlin was surprised. He immediately decided to be polite to this little girl and give her some gifts later. I saw it. Thank you, my lord, for sharing my Lord Talent. With the Lord Talent you share, my territory will definitely have the ability to protect itself, or even develop after a while. Nong Chunlin said excitedly. How many professionals can fight in your territory now? Zhou nodded and asked. Chapter 294 Linger's Development. Reward. My territory has 24,720 military professionals. Linger said proudly. With the class change certificate provided by her brother, and the large number of war refugees joining her territory every day, her territory could be said to be developing rapidly. Now not only did he have so many professionals, but even his territory level had increased to the white-silver tier elementary grade. Let's develop for a while more. She could even attack white-silver tier regional territories and continue to increase the level of her territory. It's going great. Zhou praised the other party. This development speed and territory strength was no longer inferior to some weaker top-notch lords. Then he looked at Nong Chunlin. My territory only has 621 military professionals and 142 combat professions. He was a little ashamed, and he could not help but look at Linger. They were both lord subordinate territories. The difference was too great. Even though he joined later, nothing. Linger has been with me for a long time. Your territory can do the same in the future. Like this. In a while, go find my vice city lord and apply for 10,000 basic military class change certificates from him. In the future, if you want another class change certificate, you can use the food you planted to exchange for it. Of course, if you don't need it, you can directly trade for the mist core. Zhou said. He did not lack either the soldier-type class change certificate or the mist core. As for Linger, as his little sister, she could come and collect it at any time if she lacked a soldier class change certificate. On the other side, Nong Chunlin was stunned when he heard Zhou's words. 10,000 class change certificates. The total population of his territory was less than 2,000. He became excited. Was this the rich and imposing Lord of the Blazing Sun? Today, he had truly witnessed what it meant to be arrogant. Thank you, my lord, he said excitedly. Zhou acknowledged. Then he said, I want to take something from you. What is it? The excited Nong Chunlin was stunned. It won't harm or affect you at all, but it will be of some use to me. Zhou said. He was naturally talking about the green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments in the other party's body, even though there were not many of them. But at least it was better than nothing. It's in me. Nong Chunlin probed. I guess so. Zhou acknowledged. Can I refuse? Nong Chunlin could not help but ask. Even though the Lord said that it would not harm or affect him at all. But to take something from him. He was a little afraid just thinking about it. Sure. Zhou smiled and nodded. Things are different now. It's just a few green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. When he first obtained the Master Thief's robbery gloves, he might have wanted them very much. However, he could obtain hundreds of yuan from the Scarlet Lord after going out to fight for a day. Therefore, he really did not value the Lord Talent crystal fragment on the other party. Moreover, he understood the other party's concerns. If it were him, he would not easily let others touch him. let alone take the things in his body. When Nong Qinglin saw that Zhou Zhou agreed so easily, he hesitated. After a while, "My lord, take it." He gritted his teeth. "I won't hurt you." Zhou Zhou was speechless when he saw him like this. He did not say anything after that. He put on the master thief's robbery gloves and placed them on his shoulder. A text notification appeared. Current items to steal. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade agricultural theory. Stealing success rate 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade fertilizer manufacturing. Stealing success rate 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book. Rice cultivation. Stealing success rate 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book. Fruit tree cultivation. Stealing success rate 100%. 1 green bronze tier intermediate grade skill book. Fruit forest conservation. Stealing success rate 100%. 1 green bronze tier lord talent sphere. Stealing success rate 100%. And 6 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments. Stealing success rate 100%. Zhou Zhou's gaze shifted from the other party's green bronze tier lord talent sphere to the green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragment. He naturally would not be tempted by his lord talent. In any case, the other party was already his subordinate territory. His lord talent was equivalent to his lord talent. Moreover, with the peace of the country, the other party's loyalty would not be a problem in the future. Since that was the case, he just had to do his best. Then, he ordered in his heart to steal the 6 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments. The next second, in his spatial ring, 6 green bronze tier lord talent crystal fragments appeared out of thin air. After doing all this, he retracted his hand. "All right," Zhou Zhou said to Nong Qinglin, who had his eyes closed and his body trembling slightly. The other party was stunned and opened his eyes in a daze. "That's it. What else? You don't think I'm going to cut a hole in you, do you?" Zhou Zhou smiled. "You can take another 500 Storm Spirit class change certificates when you collect the Soldier class change certificates later," he said. Since the Fertile Land Lord allowed him to obtain his fragment of the Lord Talent Crystals, Zhou Zhou naturally would not mistreat him. 500 Storm Spirit class change certificates could be considered a reward for the other party. Even though Nong Qinglin did not know what breed the Storm Spirit class change certificate was, if nothing went wrong, it was most likely good. "Thank you, my lord," he said expectantly. You go first. As for choosing a suitable area to rent farmland in my territory, you can talk to the Vice City Lord tomorrow. As for seeds, there's a seed called the Jade Sun Tree in our territory. This seed ranges from green bronze tier to white platinum tier. If you want to plant them, you can also buy them from us to sow them." Zhou Zhou said. "Yes, then I'll take my leave first," Nong Qinglin said respectfully and excitedly. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. When Nong Qinglin saw this, he bade farewell to Linger and turned to leave. But halfway through, he suddenly turned around and said expectantly, "My lord, can I say something about what I said today on the World Channel? I'll only say the part about the soldier class change certificates. I won't say anything else. I don't mean anything else. I just want to publicize the Lord's good deeds." "Zhou Zhou." He looked at him disdainfully. "You look quite honest. Why do you like to show off so much? Don't mention the Storm Spirit class change certificate, but you can mention the 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates." He thought for a moment and said he would form his own Lord Alliance in the future. Since Nong Qinglin wanted to show off so much, then he could attract a group of lords who wanted to join his alliance. "Yes, my lord," Nong Qinglin said respectfully, and turned to leave. After leaving the Lord Manor, he immediately clenched his fists excitedly. "I came to the right place this time. There's actually such a huge gain." His face was flushed with excitement. Nong Qinglin even felt that choosing to rely on the Lord of the Blazing Sun and making him his backer was the wisest decision he had made in his life. "I have to think about how to say it on the World Channel." He was excited for a long time before coming back to his senses. Then he walked back and pondered. At the same time, in the Lord Manor, in the meeting hall, "Big brother, what's a violent storm spirit?" Linger looked up at Zhou and asked curiously, "A kingdom-level combat profession change certificate. After he's done, go and get 3,000 books yourself." Zhou smiled. "Thank you, big brother." Linger was first shocked by the kingdom-level combat profession change certificate. Then, she immediately became excited when she heard Zhou's words. The current her already understood the value of a kingdom-level combat profession. Zhou nodded. Then, the two of them chatted and laughed for a while before Linger skipped away. Seeing this, Zhou also brought the two newly obtained cerulean planets' ancestor statue to the ancestral temple. Chapter 295 Lu Bai's Ancestral Enhancement. Yellow Gold Tier Sun Simiao's ancestor statue. In the main hall of the Imperial Ancestral Temple, Zhou looked at the scene in front of him. 4 10-meter-tall red shrines were neatly placed on the altar. In 2 of the shrines, there were statues of Sun Simiao and Gong Shiban. The other 2 shrines were empty. Previously, when the Ancestral Temple was at the white-silver tier, there were only 3 shrines. Now that the Imperial Ancestral Temple has advanced to the yellow-gold tier, there is now an additional shrine. He didn't think too much about it. He took out Lu Bai's ancestor statue and used the item control technique to carefully place it in the rightmost shrine. The next second, the entire hall shook slightly. An old voice filled with entrustment sounded. "Don't do evil, however small a deed. Do good, however small a deed. Only virtuous people can convince others." It's actually this proverb. Zhou was stunned. He could not help but sigh in his heart. These were the words Liu Bei had written to his son, Liu Chan, before his death. Unfortunately, Liu Chan later forgot about it. In the end, the kingdom of Shu was still destroyed. Perhaps on his deathbed, Liu Bei might have already expected his son to be unable to ascend to the job. However, he was not angry at him for not fighting. He just wanted to do his father's last duty and tell Liu Chan to be a kind child in the future. It was enough. His parents were already tired enough. There was no need to pass this pressure on to the children. In the end, it was just that he couldn't stop worrying about his child. Zhou sighed with emotion. Actually, under normal circumstances, he would not have such thoughts. However, the father-son relationship contained in Liu Bai's words was too strong. Anyone who heard it would be touched. At this moment, a new text notification appeared. You have placed a yellow gold tier statue of the ancestor of the cerulean planet in the shrine of the Imperial Shrine Liu Bei. You have activated the exclusive ancestor buff. Subdue people with virtue. The current ancestor statue has been updated. Current ancestral enhancement effect has been updated. Subdue people with virtue? Zhou opened the current ancestral enhancement effect. Ancestral enhancement. Subdue people with virtue, grade. Yellow gold tier. Buff effect 1. The Lord's benevolence is easier to increase the loyalty of his subjects and will increase the probability of talents coming to invest. Buff effect 2. It is easier for your loyal subjects to give birth to loyal subjects. Zhou was deep in thought. This buff did not seem to be of much use. However, if he could really attract someone to join him in the future, it would be a surprise. Moreover, the number of loyal subjects would affect the number of holy spirits after becoming a god. This was still very useful. The last point was, it could help him increase the loyalty of the people in his territory. In other words, it could speed up the advancement of the Diamond Tier Lord talent peace and prosperity to the Extraordinary Tier Lord talent. Thinking of this, Zhou suddenly felt that this ancestral enhancement was quite useful. Then, he opened the Peace and Prosperity Lord talent and looked at how many subjects in his current territory had loyalty points of 90 and above. Current number, 21-223/1, 000,000. There are actually more than 20,000 people? Zhou was surprised. There were less than 120,000 people in his territory. Nearly half of the subjects had joined in the past 2 days. Under such circumstances, there were actually more than a fifth of the subjects whose loyalty had reached 0 and above 90 points. In the eyes of the other lords, this ratio could already be considered a miracle. After all, many lords on the World Channel felt that a subject with more than 80 loyalty points could already be trusted as a brother and entrust the territory to him. If he told others about his data, there would definitely be a huge number of lords who would envy him. However, Zhou was naturally not so bored. After that, he closed the Lord Talent panel and took out Sun Simiao's statue. Under Zhou's surprised gaze, this statue of Sun Simiao instantly turned into a silver-white stream of light and rushed into the statue of Sun Simiao in the leftmost shrine. The two quickly fused into one and gradually emitted a golden light before slowly disappearing into the statue's body. A text notification appeared. Congratulations, your cerulean planet's ancestor statue, Sun Simiao, has officially advanced from the white-silver tier to the yellow tier. The current ancestor statue has been updated. Current ancestral enhancement effect has been updated. Zhou first looked at the statue of the current ancestor and realized that the level symbol behind Sun Simiao had changed from white-silver tier to yellow-gold tier. Then he looked at the current ancestral enhancement. It was because essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies had also advanced to the yellow-gold tier. Treasure name: essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. Treasure grade: yellow-gold tier. Treasure effect 1. After healing the injured, there is a chance that all doctor-related professionals in the territory will comprehend more medical theories, increasing the probability of breaking through by 5%. Treasure effect 2. When physician-related professionals with the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies encounter difficult illnesses, there is a chance that they will receive hints from the human ancestor of cerulean planet, Sun Simiao. Treasure description: human lives are the most important. They are more precious than gold. They are more virtuous than this. Prompt: this treasure is exclusive to the Imperial Ancestral Temple. It cannot be worn down, lost, or destroyed. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. There was only one upgrade for essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. That was, the probability of breaking through had increased from 5% to 10%. It did not seem to have increased much. However, it had actually doubled. These 1,000 yellow gold tier mist cores had not been spent in vain. At the same time, just as Sun Simiao's ancestor statue had just been upgraded. In Bai Yujing's room, at this moment, this old man was studying essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies. Surrounding him were dense medical books. Among these medical books, some were from the High Continent, and the other portion were Chinese medical books from the cerulean planet. These Chinese medicine books were what he had heard and recorded from the author after consulting him. The two systems were completely different, but the medical system that came from the same source benefited Bai Yujing a lot. When he first came to the territory, he was only a diamond tier intermediate grade doctor. Now his doctor profession level had shockingly reached the extraordinary tier elementary grade. He was not far from the upper limit of extraordinary intermediate grade. It doesn't lose its taste. It doesn't abstain from lust, doesn't abide by emotions, and can relapse after suffering from illness. Even though there's a lot of meat, it can't compare to food. Bai Yujing read softly while understanding the deeper meaning of medicine. At this moment, the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies in his hand lit up slightly. Bai Yujing was stunned. Old senior son? He probed. There was no sound from the book. He called out a few more times, but there was still no sound from the book. Bai Yujing immediately panicked. After spending a long time together, he had long become friends with this old senior in the medical field called Sun Simiao. Naturally, he did not want anything to happen to him. Fortunately, Sun Simiao's voice finally came from the book after a while. I'm fine. It's just that I was suddenly awakened by some lost memories and consciousness. My lord must have helped me find part of my lost statue. I have to thank my lord tomorrow. Sun Simiao sighed. Bai Yujing heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. Then, he could not help but be happy. Then I'll go find the lord tomorrow. Okay. We'll talk about it tomorrow. After I recovered my new memories, I had some new ideas for treating illnesses. Listen to them, and let's communicate. Okay. Bai Yujing was overjoyed. At the same time, after the fertile Earth Lord, Nong Chenglin, returned to his territory, He immediately told the World Channel that he had already submitted to the Lord of the Blazing Sun and become the Lord of the Blazing Sun's subordinate territory. He listened to Zhou request and only said that he had obtained 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates and that the Lord of the Blazing Sun would protect him. He did not say anything else. But even so, it also attracted the envy of a large number of lords on the World Channel. After all, be it the protection of the Lord of the Blazing Sun or the 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates, they were both things that most lords could only dream of. The former meant safety, the latter meant that the territory strength of the fertile land lord would welcome a huge advancement. That was 10,000 basic soldier class change certificates. One had to know that under the transaction rules specially set by the Lord of the Blazing Sun, every lord could only buy at most 10 soldier class change certificates a day from the transaction he issued. Not even one more. In comparison, this further showed how generous the Lord of the Blazing Sun was to his own people. At that time, a vast number of lords said on the World Channel that they also wanted to be a subordinate territory of the Lord of the Blazing Sun. It was impossible to add him as a friend. Zhou had long set up that he could not be added as a friend. At most, they could send some transaction information through the exchange to express their request to become a subordinate territory. However, Zhou had also set up information screening on the exchange. Therefore, unless these people had something Zhou wanted, other than that, Zhou was destined not to be able to see them trying to cozy up to him. When Nong Chenglin saw that these lords actually saw him as an envious target, he immediately felt even more comfortable. He did not show off for nothing. This was the effect he wanted. Chapter 296 Hero and Hero Inheritance. Feng Luo's Gratitude. On the other side, Zhou bowed to Sun Simiao and the other ancestors and returned to his lord manor. Zhou had just returned when he saw a soldier standing in front of his manor. When he saw Zhou, he immediately ran over and said respectfully, "Reporting to my lord. There's just news from the Night Temple. They want to invite the lord over to talk about something." Zhou was stunned. Then he reacted. They probably knew that he had ascended to the mythical tier advanced grade, so they wanted to ask him. He was already prepared for this, so he only nodded slightly and let the other party lead the way. A moment later, in the secret meeting room in the Night Temple, when Zhou arrived, he saw Rob already waiting for him. Other than him, the King of Abyssal Knights, Bai He, was also present. He was currently sitting on the main seat. After Zhou greeted the two of them politely, he heard Bai He say, "Sit." He did not stand on ceremony and sat down with a smile. "We already know that you've reached the mythical tier advanced grade. We won't ask how you did it. However, we won't turn a blind eye to you bringing glory to our human race. We just held a meeting of the three kings to discuss how to reward you. In the end, we decided to give you another chance to accept the epic tier hero inheritance." Bai He said. After saying that, Zhou was not the only one stunned. Beside him, Rob was also stunned. Epic tier? Fuck. Wasn't it extraordinary tier? However, he quickly reacted. He looked at Zhou and could not help but click his tongue. It seemed that the higher-ups of the human race valued the other party more than he had imagined. This human lord in front of him was someone who could stand out from the lords of all races and stand at the top after all. With such an achievement, they should indeed place their bets and nurture him vigorously. Zhou was also pleasantly surprised. He never expected that not only would the other party not ask, but he would also give him such benefits. Epic tier hero inheritance. Bai Yin only had a hero inheritance of this level. Wu Xian was only at the extraordinary tier. This lord talent of the Night Temple was not wasted. Zhou thought. He did not need the other party's method to nurture knights, since they take a long time to be nurtured. However, the gains from having two hero inheritances were not bad. Moreover, this was only a temporary gain. "This is for you." Bai He flipped his right hand, and two golden tokens appeared in his hand. He threw them to Zhou. Zhou took it and looked at the two golden tokens. They had the word Sage engraved on the front. On the back were the words Heroic Spirit. With these 2 heroic spirit tokens, you can freely enter and exit the heroic spirit hall with the hero candidates you acknowledge until you use up both of your hero inheritances. You have to remember, the hero inheritance is the most precious inheritance of our human race. You have to seriously choose the candidates to accept the hero inheritance. Don't disgrace these 2 hero inheritances and our human race's expectations of you. In addition, after the candidate you choose accepts the hero inheritance and has the ability to leave behind the hero inheritance, you must come back and leave behind their hero inheritance. This is our only request. It's also a necessary request for the hero inheritance of the human race. Bai He said seriously. No problem. Zhou agreed readily. However, he was a little curious. A living hero leaves behind the hero inheritance. When the person who accepts the hero inheritance leaves behind the hero inheritance, won't he be able to create countless heroes? Zhou asked. Of course not. The hero inheritance is an exclusive inheritance recognized by the Supreme Will. The hero inheritance will only take effect after the hero dies. Bai He said. Zhou nodded as he pondered. He hesitated for a moment before telling her about Bai Yun and Nadia. Then why can their hero inheritance coexist? Zhou asked doubtfully. You actually have such an opportunity? Before Bai He could speak, Rob could not help but exclaim in surprise. Is it rare? Zhou was puzzled. What's rare is the hero inheritance secret manual. The hero inheritance secret manual is quite rare. Compared to the heroic spirit inheritance left behind by our heroic spirit hall with the divine calming stone. As a legendary treasure, the hero inheritance secret manual can preserve the power of the hero inheritance left behind by a hero after his death to the greatest extent. A hero who accepts this power can receive the inheritance of a hero to the greatest extent. Moreover, even if the hero who left behind the hero inheritance is resurrected, it won't be able to deprive him of the hero's fate level slot. That's why their hero fate level slots coexist. Zhou was surprised. The hero inheritance secret manual actually had such an ability. He was lucky enough to obtain such a treasure back then. After chatting for a while, Zhou bade farewell and left. Then he arrived at the entrance of the night temple. Just as he was about to call a guard from his territory over, he saw Feng Luo standing at the door. At this moment, he was wearing brand new armor and arms, looking majestic. Thank you, my lord, for the armor and arms. This is the first time I've used such powerful and suitable armor and weapons. Feng Luo's face was filled with excitement. As he had been wandering around and had no faction to belong to, even though he was already a white platinum tier advanced grade, the equipment he used was still white platinum tier elementary grade. Among them, the armor was yellow gold tier advanced grade. He had also tried to obtain equipment by destroying the fog monsters. However, he realized that it would not drop even if he killed many fog monsters, so he gave up. Until just now, Wuxia found him and said that the Lord had asked him to bring him to the territory warehouse to pick out a set of white platinum tier advanced grade equipment that fit him. After taking the equipment, he immediately came over to thank him. Zhou smiled. He could tell that the other party's equipment level was too low, so he told Wuxia to get a set for him. After all, he was a legendary tier talent, so he naturally could not be too stingy. Moreover, it was only a set of white platinum tier advanced grade equipment. Yellow gold tier advanced grade fog monsters could drop them. He had long accumulated a lot in his warehouse, but no one had used it because its grade was too high. Giving him a set was nothing. Then he looked at the other party's loyalty. He realized that the other party's loyalty had increased from 89 to 94. This level of loyalty will do, Zhou thought. Then he looked at Feng Luo. Equipment is nothing. I have a better gift for you, but if you accept this gift, you'll have to work under me for the rest of your life. Would you like to? He asked seriously. I'm willing, Feng Luo said without hesitation, even though he had just arrived. However, everything he had seen so far proved that the other party was a benevolent and wise master. There was even a chance of ending this chaotic world. This was exactly what he wanted. Therefore, he was willing to be Zhou's subordinate for the rest of his life. Okay. Then come with me. Zhou turned around and left. My lord, where are we going? Feng Luo looked around curiously as he walked. What kind of place is this? Why is it so spectacular? I'll help you choose a hero inheritance, Zhou said without turning his head. Feng Luo was stunned. Chapter 297 Feng Luo's Hero Inheritance 1. Hero Inheritance? When Feng Luo heard Zhou's words, the first thought in his mind was, what nonsense is my lord talking about? What kind of existence was the hero inheritance? How could it be chosen just like that? Then he reacted and scolded his idea for being a little offensive. Then he hesitated. What if it's true? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was possible. So he became more and more excited. Just like that, in anticipation, nervousness, and desire, the two of them arrived at the entrance of the heroic spirit hall. Then a 3-meter-tall human with purple eyes blocked their path. It was the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Halt! The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said coldly. Greetings, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Zhou said respectfully. Feng Luo, who was behind him, quickly reacted and bowed. It's you. Are you here to accept the legacy of the heroes of the heroic spirits? The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea looked at Zhou and said in a less stern voice. Even though he was stationed in the heroic spirit hall all year round, he had also heard that the other party had suppressed the lords of all races and advanced to the mythical tier advance grade. Even though he looked strict on the surface, he actually admired this proud human genius lord quite a lot. He even regarded him as one of the future pillars of the human race. No. However, I think the person behind me is quite good in terms of potential and strength. Therefore, I want to come over and let the seniors of the heroic spirit hall see if any of them are willing to give him the inheritance of a human hero. Zhou said. When Feng Luo heard this, he subconsciously straightened his back, not wanting to embarrass his lord. The next second, he felt an extremely pressurizing gaze land on him. This gaze sized him up from head to toe before retracting. Not bad. He should be able to obtain the legacy of an epic tier hero. The Hidden Sea Guardian retracted his gaze and said. He was a little surprised. This kid was really surrounded by talents. The first person he brought over actually had the foundation of an epic tier hero candidate? Zhou thought for a moment and asked, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Temple Lord Bai only gave us a chance to obtain an epic tier and an extraordinary tier hero inheritance. But if this subject of mine is recognized by a legendary tier, or even higher level heroic spirit senior, will he be able to obtain a higher level hero inheritance? The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea looked at Feng Luo, then at Zhou. Then he smiled and said nothing. Feng Luo and Zhou's expressions froze. The two of them immediately understood the meaning behind his smile. Feng Luo would not be recognized by heroic spirits of that level. When the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea saw this, he thought for a moment and explained in order to avoid hurting their confidence. Your subject's potential and bone structure are not bad. It should be more than enough to obtain the recognition of an epic tier heroic spirit. But it's still relatively difficult to obtain the recognition of a higher level heroic spirit. However, if that really happens, our human race naturally won't let a hero waste his talent for nothing. We will temporarily not open the hero inheritance of that heroic spirit and let the heroic candidate accumulate merits in the human race. When we accumulate enough merit points and this person has been recognized by the higher-ups of our human race, we will naturally open that heroic spirit's hero inheritance again and find him to officially inherit the hero inheritance. Zhou nodded slightly. This was acceptable. As for the fact that Feng Luo was not enough to inherit the legendary tier, or even higher-level hero inheritance, Zhou felt that the other party was not lying to him. After all, this was a human expert that even Rob had to call Lord. His strength should have stepped into God tier. Such an existence had been stationed in the heroic spirit hall for many years, and had probably seen countless heroic candidates. His discerning should not be wrong. As for Feng Luo, who was behind him, he did not care too much about whether it was an epic tier or a legendary tier hero inheritance. He felt that it would be good enough if he could obtain the hero inheritance. Why would he be picky? Are you two going in now? The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said. Yes. Zhou acknowledged. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea nodded. Then, he waved his right hand and asked the knights on both sides of the door to open the door of the Heroic Spirit Hall. Go in. Don't forget to be careful with your words and actions in front of the heroic spirits of the heroes. He said. Yes. Zhou acknowledged. Then he walked into the Heroic Spirit Hall with Feng Luo. In the Heroic Spirit Hall, the heroic spirits of more than 300 heroes floated above the divine calming stone with their eyes closed. The faint pressure of their hero slots made Feng Luo, who was behind Zhou, suddenly tense up. As for Zhou, as the dragon-slaying king, he still felt nothing when facing their pressure. Wait, don't go. Zhou suddenly stopped and said. Even though Feng Luo didn't know why, he stood where he was obediently. A moment later, Zhou looked at the motionless heroic spirits around him, and could not help but feel a little regretful. He was also a little smug. It seemed that not everyone had the same aptitude as him. Go ahead. There are a total of 312 heroic spirit consciousnesses in this heroic spirit hall. Next, you only need to stay in front of each heroic spirit for a few seconds. If a heroic spirit feels that you meet the requirements of his hero inheritance, he or she will naturally open their eyes. At that time, you can choose to accept their hero inheritance. Don't be in a hurry to choose. If many heroic spirits choose you, that means that they all acknowledge you as their successor. When the time comes, choose the best epic tier hero inheritance. Zhou reminded. Yes, my lord. Feng Luo said respectfully. Then, he became a little curious. My lord, you've been here before, right? Then how many heroic spirits has my lord been chosen? Feng Luo couldn't help but ask curiously. Hearing Zhou's words, he naturally knew that the more heroic spirits open their eyes, the better their aptitude. They're all open. Zhou walked deeper into the heroic spirit hall without looking back. Only Feng Luo, who was staring at Zhou with wide eyes, was left. Zhou came to a heroic spirit. This heroic spirit was none other than Blazing Sun Mage Chongqing, who had an epic tier hero fate level slot, but had long been killed by the enemy on the battlefield. I already have a Holy Spirit tier Scarlet Crystal in my hand. After converting it into a Faith Divine Crystal, and obtaining some of Chongqing's belongings from the Night Hall, I can go to Carol Moeli to revive. But, Zhou frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. If he had not encountered the sky-devouring thunder dragon, he would definitely have done so. However, he had previously encountered the sky-devouring thunder dragon, and lost a death immunity scroll. This made him reevaluate the thought of reviving Chongqing. He wanted to exchange for another death immunity scroll first. That thing could really save his life after all. Thinking of this, he made his decision. It was better not to revive Chongqing yet. He still felt that security was the most important. There was no need to be anxious about reviving the hero and making a deal with the Night Temple. More than an hour later, Feng Luo walked over quickly and stood in front of Zhou with a faint excitement on his face. My lord, I found a suitable hero inheritance, he said excitedly. Chapter 298 Feng Luo's Hero Inheritance 2. Already? It's only been an hour. Have you seen all 312 heroic spirits? How many heroic spirits have opened their eyes? Zhou asked in surprise. I've seen everything. However, I'm far inferior to my lord. I only opened the eyes of 8 heroic spirits. Among them, there are 6 heroic spirits with extraordinary tier hero slots, and only 2 with epic tier hero slots. What I value is one of the 2 epic tier hero slots. Feng Luo said. Bring me there. Zhou said. Yes, please follow me, my lord. Feng Luo nodded, and brought Zhou to a heroic spirit. He looked at the heroic spirit. This was a middle-aged general, wearing a general's uniform, and holding a bright saber. Epic tier hero, 10-directional martial emperor. Zhou looked at that person's life. 10-directional martial emperor. Respect for me. This was a legendary hero. It was said that this person was originally a beggar. Zun Wu, who had been a beggar since he was young, had only secretly learned a few scattered martial techniques in order to survive. Later on, he actually used this opportunity to make a name for himself. After that, he saw that the world was in chaos, so he decided to join the army to quell the chaos. In the end, he really continued to obtain military merits, and finally became a great general. However, even though he was a great general in the army, he was different from a normal general. Other generals practiced military combat techniques. He just had to love martial arts moves. Moreover, he had the comprehension ability of a genius martial artist. With the country's resources, he had grasped countless martial arts manuals and various martial techniques at his fingertips. In the end, he even comprehended the hero slot from martial arts. Later on, there was a martial arts conference held by martial artists in the pugilistic world. Many martial artists participated. Zun Wu was also very interested, so he chose to hide his identity and participate anonymously. In the end, he actually won the championship and became the leader of the martial arts world. This was because Zun Wu often used saber techniques to crack all kinds of martial techniques at the conference. In his eyes, it was as if any martial technique or weapon had flaws that could be easily broken. Therefore, it was called the 10-directional martial emperor by the people of the pugilistic world. Later on, even though his identity as a great general was exposed, the title of 10-directional martial emperor was still above that of a great general, until the other party was later attacked on the battlefield and killed by 3 epic tier heroes. Only then did he end his legendary life. After reading it, Zhou sighed. At the same time, he realized that the other party's hero ability was indeed similar to Feng Luo's. The 10-directional martial emperor, Zun Wu could easily see through the flaws of various martial techniques, and could easily break them. Feng Luo had also walked out of his path as a sword-shield soldier. Moreover, among his skills, there were cracking skills like shield break, arrow control, saber slash and spear break. To Feng Luo, the 10-directional martial emperor is indeed the most suitable hero inheritance for him. Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the other epic tier hero inheritance, and was even more certain of this. If that's the case, just accept the senior's inheritance. Zhou told Feng Luo. Yes. Feng Luo immediately became excited. He stood in front of Zun Wu's heroic spirit and looked at him. The next second, a large amount of golden light was released from Zun Wu's body. Then like silk it wrapped around Feng Luo. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. This was the first time he had seen such a scene. The hero inheritance of heroic spirits was actually so magical. He did not disturb the other party. Zhou walked out of the heroic spirit hall and told the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea about Feng Luo. Tisk. To be valued by that proud fellow, Zun Wu, your subject is not ordinary. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea said in surprise. There were also differences in the epic tier hero inheritance. Zun Wu's hero inheritance was definitely considered a top epic tier hero inheritance. Zhou told the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea about their similarities. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea immediately pondered. After coming over for a while, he said, In that case, he might be able to surpass Zun Wu in the future and walk his own heroic path, obtaining a higher-level hero fate level slot. His potential is still a little low. If I can increase my strength, my chances might be higher. Thank you for the hint, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea. Zhou thanked him. It's fine. It was just a passing thought. Moreover, items that can increase one's potential are not easy to obtain. The Guardian shook his head. Zhou acknowledged. The highest bottle he had now was a bottle of epic tier potential advancement potion. This naturally could not increase the potential of an epic tier hero. Epic tier hero. The lowest potential was at the epic tier. After that, Zhou chatted with the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea for a while. After learning from him that inheriting the heroic spirit would take some time, Zhou did not chat much and quickly left. In the living room of the Lord Manor, Zhou took out 6 regional treasure chests from his spatial ring. He opened them one by one. In the end, 5 of the region treasure chests were region-exclusive resource packs. Only the region treasure chest in Dark Knight Town was a yellow gold tier territory fusion certificate. It's really difficult to obtain a regional treasure chest like the Golem Lair. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Fortunately, this yellow gold tier territory fusion certificate was not bad. Then he sent someone to call Mu Gu, Zheng Fugui, and Carol Moeli over, and asked about their improvements. Among them, Mu Gu's strength had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade, after his territory advanced to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. His various skills had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Moreover, he could manage 11 monster ranches. The maximum capacity of each monster ranch had increased from 3,000 to 3,500. The upper limit of the monsters that could be nurtured had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Zhou Zhou asked him to build a new monster ranch. As for the types of ranch monsters inside, he naturally chose the violent storm demon spirit that could produce kingdom-level combat class. As Zheng Fugui's mysterious caravan leveled up, the number of mysterious merchant had increased from 200 to 250. The abilities of all the mysterious merchant had also been upgraded to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. The number of mysterious caravan carriages had also increased from 100 to 150. In the end, there were already 200 clergymen, 200 priests, 200 nuns, and 400 life paladins in the shelter of Carol Moelis, goddess of life. All the cleric's strength had also increased to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Carol Moelis' strength had also increased from diamond tier elementary grade to diamond tier intermediate grade. This meant that the other party could revive any life form below the diamond tier intermediate grade, including heroes. This way, the range of revival heroes that Zhou Zhou could choose had increased again. After understanding all of this, he let the three of them leave and took out a black seed. It was the seed of the sacred blood fruit. Zhou Zhou took a few glances and walked out of the Lord Manor with it. He came to the spatial teleportation array and teleported to the spiritual medicine city. Chapter 299, Watering the Sacred Blood Fruit. After Zhou Zhou came out of the spiritual medicine city's spatial teleportation array, he saw two teams of soldiers guarding here. "Greetings, my lord." The soldiers were shocked when they saw Zhou Zhou. Then they hurriedly said respectfully, as subjects of a subordinate territory, they naturally knew of the existence of the lord of the main territory, Zhou Zhou. "Where's your lord?" Zhou Zhou asked. "Her lordship is in the city. She should be studying now." The leader of the sword-shield soldiers said respectfully, "Studying?" Zhou Zhou was a little surprised. "Take me there." "Yes," the soldier said. Then, he arranged for the vice-captain to continue guarding the quests. Then, he brought Zhou Zhou to Linger's lord's residence. A moment later, "Lord's residence? Big brother." After the soldier reported, Zhou Zhou quickly saw Linger run out of the residence and hugged him excitedly. Zhou Zhou smiled and stroked her hair. "Have you been studying?" he asked curiously. "Mom said that studying can make you a useful person. That's why I gathered some books at the marketplace that I should read at my age." They were all written down by the lords of the Cerulean planet from our memories on the high continent. "Those authors are so awesome. They can actually memorize them all," Linger said. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Turning their knowledge into books to sell in the marketplace was also a common method for lords to earn missed cores. After that, the two of them entered the residence. After chatting for a while, he told them why he was here. "A true god-tier advanced grade seed?" Linger's mouth opened slightly. Then, she looked at Zhou Zhou with admiration. Most of the items and equipment used by the lords were black iron and green bronze tier. Even white silver tier items could be considered precious. Her big brother had actually used a true god-tier advanced grade item. In a year or two, Big Brother would probably ascend to the throne of the Lord of all races. Right? She thought expectantly. "I only obtained this seed by chance. I want to see if your divine herb garden can accelerate its growth." Zhou Zhou saw the other party's admiring gaze and guessed what Linger was thinking, so he explained. "True god-tier advanced grade. A medicinal herb of this level is not within the talent effect of the divine herb garden." Linger came back to her senses and said in distress, "Her divine herb garden? could only reduce the growth time of legendary tier medicinal herbs. The true god tier advanced grade had already far exceeded this level. Let's give it a try first, Jojo said. Okay. Seeing her big brother's insistence, Linger didn't say anything else and nodded in agreement. After that, the two of them left the Lord's residence and came to the Divine Herb Garden. After arriving, Linger took the seed of the sacred blood fruit from Jojo and planted it personally in the ground. Time passed. However, there was nothing wrong with the place where the sacred blood fruit was planted. Linger looked at Jojo awkwardly. Big brother. Normally speaking, if the ability of the Divine Herb Garden takes effect, a large amount of spiritual energy will immediately gather at the place where the seed is planted. There's no spiritual energy gathered now. It should be because the Divine Herb Garden can't work on this sacred blood fruit. Jojo nodded calmly. He, who was familiar with the abilities of the Divine Herb Garden, was already prepared for this scene. The reason why he still wanted to give it a try was because he was unwilling. This scene completely dispelled his unrealistic thoughts. Big brother. However, even though the Divine Herb Garden can't work on this sacred blood fruit, but the Divine Herb Garden have an obscure ability. Its soil is suitable for planting any medicinal herb crop. Let it be planted here. Linger did not want her big brother to come for nothing, so she hurriedly said, Okay. Jojo was stunned for a moment before nodding. In that case, this Divine Herb Garden was really a treasure land. There were many medicinal herbs in the world that needed a unique growth environment to grow successfully. Some regional specialties were also formed from this. On the other hand, the Divine Herb Garden could provide a suitable environment for any medicinal herb crop to grow. However, they could gather crops from all over the world, and even regional special herbs to grow. Make good use of the benefits this can bring. It was not inferior to the talent effect of reducing the growth time of medicinal herbs. Jojo's attention returned to the sacred blood fruit. He thought for a moment and took out a white platinum tier advanced grade heart. This shocked Linger. However, when she saw the item information displayed on the heart, she heaved a sigh of relief and was a little surprised. Vampire Baron bloodline? Big brother was really amazing. He could always take out treasures that she had seen before. She looked at Jojo with even more admiration. Jojo ignored the fangirl beside him. After taking out the vampire bloodline, he walked to the place where the sacred blood fruit was planted. Just as he was thinking about how to use this vampire baron bloodline to water the sacred blood fruit seed, he suddenly felt that the vampire baron bloodline in his hand was about to leave his hand, as if it was about to rush into the soil buried in the sacred blood fruit seed. Jojo was stunned. He thought for a moment before letting go. The next second, he saw the vampire baron's heart land on the ground and melt into a pool of blood that fused into the ground. Jojo and Linger behind him looked at this scene in surprise. 4 to 5 seconds later, the two of them saw the soil that the blood had fused into suddenly stir. Then, a golden red tender shoot was extracted from the ground and quickly grew until it became a golden red plant more than half a meter tall. A golden red flower bud slowly bloomed, revealing a golden red fruit that looked like a strawberry. Jojo looked at the fruit. A text notification appeared. Treasure name, Sacred Blood Fruit, Treasure Grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade, Treasure Effect. After plucking it and consuming it, it can slightly increase the bloodline contained in your body at the White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade and below. It will automatically choose to increase the highest level bloodline contained in your body. Treasure description: the legendary sacred blood fruit that can purify one's bloodline. Even most god spirits have only heard of it and never seen it with their own eyes. Prompt: you can choose not to pick it, but to continue injecting your bloodline power to increase the grade of the sacred blood fruit, so it can grow directly with bloodline water. Jojo was speechless. However, he could not be blamed. After all, even God's spirit did not understand this, let alone a lord who had just arrived in the high continent for 14 days. It can only purify bloodlines below white platinum tier advanced grade? Jojo pondered. Even though his chaos human bloodline was only at the white silver tier elementary grade, He could not use this sacred blood fruit. This was because he was already 100% a pure-blooded chaos human. It could not continue to purify his bloodline. However, he quickly thought of three choices: Bai Yin, Wuxia, and Nazario. Bai Yin had 14% of the Wood Elves bloodline, Diamond Tier Elementary Grade. Wuxia had 3% of the Golden Dragon bloodline, Epic Tier Advanced Grade. In his body, Nazario even had 1% of the Divine Dragon of Destruction bloodline, True God Tier Advanced Grade. In his body, if he could purify these bloodlines and increase the ratio, their combat strength and potential would increase. Therefore, the bloodlines of all three had a high purification value. However, with the current level of the sacred blood fruit, it naturally could not be increased. The level is still a little low. Level up first. Zhou quickly made a decision. He took out 100 sets of Wood Elves bloodline and fused them into a high-level Wood Elves bloodline. Then he watered the sacred blood fruit and saw it emit a golden red light. A moment later, when Zhou looked over again, its level had already become extraordinary tier elementary grade. Zhou nodded slightly. Then he sent someone to call Bai Yin over and asked her if she wanted to improve and purify her bloodline. Chapter 300: Improving Bloodline. Legendary Tier Elementary Grade Potential. If you want to upgrade and purify the Wood Elves bloodline, I will first upgrade your Wood Elves bloodline to a high-level Wood Elves bloodline. Then, increase the ratio of high-level Wood Elves bloodline in your body. Zhou added. Bai Yin hesitated. She naturally knew that improving and purifying her Wood Elves bloodline would be beneficial to her strength. But, if you don't want to give up on your human race, you'll maintain the human bloodline in your body at 70%. Zhou saw that Bai Yin still had concerns, so he said seriously, since the drop rate of monsters was too low on the high continent, so if a life form contained many bloodlines, as long as the ratio of one bloodline reached 70% or more, he could use this bloodline to determine that the other party was a single-blooded life form. This was because the ratio of 70% to more than 70% of the bloodline would make life forms show very obvious racial characteristics. Under normal circumstances, almost no one would think of him as a half-blood. If a life form had many bloodlines in their body, and the ratio of each bloodline was below 70%, then this life form would become a mixed blood. It could not be treated as a life form of a single bloodline race. If he wanted other living beings to address a specific race, he could only join the corresponding race. But this was only on the surface. The other life form might be called a certain race on the surface. However, in fact, everyone knew that the other party was a mixed blood and could not be considered a true single race. Under normal circumstances, mixed bloods could not become the higher-ups of the races. They might even be discriminated against, unless he was too strong, so strong that he could break all prejudices. Bai Yin heaved a sigh of relief. That was her concern, even though she also wanted to increase her strength. However, if possible, she still did not want to give up her human identity, even if this human bloodline was very weak. However, that was also the basis of many of her persistence and reasons. Thank you, my lord. I'm willing to accept the upgrade and purification of the Wood Elves bloodline, while maintaining my human bloodline. Bai Yin said. Zhou smiled and nodded. Not only did the other party's insistence on the human bloodline not make him unhappy, but he even admired it. After all, not only was he his lord, but he was also one of the lords of the human race. To a certain extent, he was also fighting for the human race. He was naturally very happy that Bai Yin insisted on keeping the human bloodline. He had indeed not chosen the wrong person. Then he first took out 100 sets of Wood Elves bloodline and fused them into a high-level Wood Elves bloodline. After that, Zhou let Bai Yin use it. Half an hour later, Bai Yin woke up from her bloodline awakening. At this moment, her skin was even fairer, her legs were slender, and her figure was even taller. Moreover, the vigorous blood energy and mental strength in his body were even more shocking. Clearly, his strength had increased significantly after replacing the high-level Wood Elves bloodline. Zhou opened her attribute panel and looked at her bloodline column. Human bloodline, White Silver Tier Intermediate Grade, 75%. High-Level Wood Elves Bloodline, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade, 18%. Then he raised his eyebrows. His high-level Wood Elves bloodline, not only upgraded by Yun's Wood Elves bloodline to high-level Wood Elves bloodline, but the purity of her bloodline had also increased from 14% to 18%. Thinking of this, Zhou hesitated. Should he continue to purify it? If he fed Bai Yun another sacred blood fruit now, would the purity of her bloodline directly exceed 30%? He hesitated for a long time, and finally decided to ask the Supreme Will. In the end, the Supreme Will really gave a notification. Supreme Will notification. When a life form uses the sacred blood fruit to purify their bloodline, they can rely on their resistance to sense and control this process of purifying their bloodline. Zhou's eyes lit up. So he could still control crowd control? Then there was no problem. Zhou handed the newly nurtured sacred blood fruit to Bai Yun and told her that the sacred blood fruit could be controlled by crowd control. Just increase the purity of the high-level Wood Elves bloodline to 25%. Keep the other 5% just in case. Zhou said. With Bai Yun's hero fate level slot, she could naturally feel the ratio of her bloodline. There was no need for him to give a special hint. Yes, my lord, Bai Yun said gratefully. Then, she consumed the sacred blood fruit. She closed her eyes. Soon, Zhou and Linger saw wisps of blood fog that flickered with green light gradually dissipate from the surface of Bai Yun's body and surround her. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that her expression was normal. At the same time, he observed the progress of her bloodline improvement. 19%, 20%, 22%, 24%. Soon, Bai Yun's high-level Wood Elves bloodline had increased to 25%. At the same time, her figure and appearance were also closer to perfection. At the same time, her blood energy and mental strength were stronger. At this moment, Bai Yun slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Zhou and suddenly knelt on the ground excitedly. Thank you for your gift, my lord. I feel that I've become stronger. Get up. Just don't let down your potential in the future. Zhou smiled and helped her up. Then he looked at her attribute panel. Subject, Bai Yun Hero Unit. Hero Title, Bloodfire Arrow Elf. Position, Epic Tier Heroes Fate Level. Territory, Blazing Sun City Strength Level. Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. Ability Overview. A hero with both human bloodline and high-level Wood Elf bloodline. His body contains powerful energy, and he is proficient in elemental archery. He is a hero that can make enemies tremble in fear on the battlefield. Bloodline, Human Bloodline, White Silver Tier Intermediate Grade, 75%. Advanced Wood Elves Bloodline, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade, 25%. Skills, Heroic Skill, Bloodfire Arrow Rain, Heroic Skill, Morale Stability, Heroic Skill, Silent March, Epic Tier Advanced Grade Life Origin Meditation Method, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Wood Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Fire Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Blood Elemental Control, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Elemental Archery Skill, Wood, Race Talent Plant Affinity, Race Talent Growth, Race Skill, Plant Whisperer, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Elemental Archery Skill, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Plant Manipulation, Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade Elemental Archery Skill. Loyalty, 100 Dead Loyal. Potential, Legendary Tier Elementary Grade. Hero Biography, 1. Under the blessing of the Human Lord, the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance of the Bloodfire Arrow Elf, and became the second-generation Bloodfire Arrow Elf. Hero's Personal Reputation Rating +1. Elf Race Reputation +10,000. High Continent Reputation +5. It was fine for Zhou to see the front. However, he was a little surprised when he saw Bai Yun's potential. Previously, Bai Yun's potential was only at the Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Now it has actually advanced to the Legendary Tier Elementary Grade. Can improving my bloodline also increase my potential? Then I have to get more bloodlines in the future. Zhou thought. Bai Yun and Wuxia were fine. There was a high chance that the two of them would insist on the human bloodline. The demand for the sacred blood fruit was not very high. However, the divine dragon of destruction bloodline in Nazario's body was not only a true dragon bloodline, but it was also a true god-tier advanced grade bloodline. Purifying its bloodline to 100% would definitely increase Nazario's strength and potential. Nazario probably wouldn't refuse. However, it was also very difficult to do this. First, he had to think of a way to obtain a large number of bloodlines to water and nurture the sacred blood fruit. Thinking of this, Zhou's gaze landed on the vampire bloodline and the wood elf's bloodline in his spatial ring. Chapter 301 Nurturing the Sacred Blood Flower. Wuxia's map. After the consumption just now, he still had 154 white platinum tier advanced grade vampire baron bloodlines, and 1,932 diamond tier elementary grade wood elves bloodlines. He looked a little hesitant before he quickly became determined. The vampire bloodline would be suppressed by the level of a high-level vampire. The wood elves bloodline would also be affected by the divine will of the tree of life. Even though the latter was not very restrictive, it was still a small flaw. It would also be fatal at certain times. Since these two bloodlines had their own flaws, he would water them for the sacred blood fruit. At least with the hint of the supreme will, the sacred blood fruit was safe. Thinking of this, Zhou immediately took out 100 sets of white platinum tier advanced grade vampire baron bloodline and fused them with the diamond tier advanced grade vampire viscount bloodline. Then, he watered it with the sacred blood flower. After the sacred blood fruit was watered again, it quickly emitted a faint golden red light. A moment later, the light dissipated. A diamond tier advanced grade sacred blood fruit appeared as the sacred blood flower bloomed. Zhou's expression did not change when he saw this. He took out another 100 sets of wood elves bloodline and fused them into a high-level wood elves bloodline before watering the sacred blood fruit. The sacred blood fruit quickly advanced to extraordinary tier elementary grade. Seeing this, Zhou continued to take out 1,000 sets of wood elves bloodline and fused them into 10 sets of high-level wood elves bloodline. Then, he watered them all for the sacred blood fruit. Under Zhou's expectant gaze, the sacred blood fruit's upgrade to the epic tier intermediate grade stopped abruptly. He frowned slightly. After so many bloodlines, he had only raised the sacred blood fruit to the epic tier intermediate grade? One had to know that any of these bloodlines could be snatched by countless lords on the marketplace. And he had just inserted 1,200 bloodlines. The price of nurturing the sacred blood flower was actually so high, Zhou wanted to retreat. He understood that it was impossible for him to water a sacred blood fruit that could increase the purity of Nazario's bloodline, unless he could obtain a large number of high-level bloodlines in the future. The high level here referred to at least the bloodline of a low-tier deity, or even higher. Otherwise, it would probably be very difficult to nurture a true god-tier advanced grade sacred blood fruit. However, he was a little unwilling to give up after paying so much. Zhou thought for a moment and fused 6 more portions of high-level wood elves bloodline. Through watering them, he upgraded the sacred blood fruit to an epic tier advanced grade. Then, he called Wuxia over. After asking Wuxia for his opinion, not surprisingly, this old general who had fought for the human race for many years was naturally unwilling to abandon his human bloodline. However, he was still very willing to increase his golden dragon bloodline slightly without affecting his human bloodline. After Zhou found out about this situation, he handed the epic tier advanced grade sacred blood fruit to the other party. After Wuxia ate it, he only opened his eyes after 2 hours. "My lord, my injuries seem to have recovered a little. Moreover, it's still slowly recovering under the influence of the golden dragon bloodline. My strength has already recovered to white platinum tier advanced grade." Wuxia was very surprised. Zhou was also a little surprised. This old general's strength at his peak was at the diamond tier advanced grade. It was only because he had become older and his old injuries had relapsed that he had fallen to the yellow gold tier elementary grade. Later on, he received treatment in the shelter of the goddess of life and slowly recovered to white platinum tier elementary grade. Now, not only had his injuries recovered a little because of the purification of the Golden Dragon bloodline, but his strength had also returned to the White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. This was a White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade hero. With his strength and hero fate level slot, he could probably defeat even a Diamond Tier Scarlet Lord. Zhou was even more satisfied. The restoration of Elder Wu's injuries, and the increase in his strength, was a pleasant surprise to him. He liked such an unexpected surprise. Then Zhou looked at his bloodline column. As expected, the Golden Dragon bloodline had already increased to 25%, while the human bloodline had reached 75%. He looked at the other party's potential column again, and realized that Wu Xin's potential had already increased from the original Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade to Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. It had actually increased by an entire level. As expected of the dragon bloodline, Zhou looked at Linger. Linger, I'll leave this sacred blood fruit to you. We must send someone to protect it. Zhou instructed seriously. Okay, big brother. Linger nodded seriously. Zhou smiled and stroked her hair. Then, he left the divine medicinal gardens and returned to Blazing Sun City through the spatial teleportation array. When he returned to the Lord's manor, he suddenly saw a familiar young man standing there. The other party also saw Zhou. Greetings, my lord. Wu Tu said respectfully. Let's go in first. Zhou smiled. Wu Tu smiled and nodded. Then, the two of them walked into the Lord Manor one after another. In the meeting hall, Zhou and Wu Tu chatted for a while before Wu Tu reported the situation of his map drawing. My lord, please take a look. This is the summary of the maps drawn by the Heavenly Army during this period of time. Wu Tu solemnly took out a black booklet and handed it to Zhou respectfully with both hands. Zhou took it and flipped through it. The first thing he saw was a large map. This large map not only included the situation of all the ownerless territories around Blazing Sun City. Moreover, it included the situation in the kingdom outside the ownerless area. This included the Aurora Kingdom that occupied the west, northwest, and north, the Netherbark Kingdom that occupied the east, and the Taiyan Kingdom that occupied the south. What surprised Zhou the most was, this map actually contained a complete map of the territory distribution of the Taiyan Kingdom. In the past, Zhou did not know the regional distribution of the Taiyan Kingdom. Therefore, when he attacked Dark Knight Town today, he did not dare to be too careless, because he was worried that something unexpected would happen. Therefore, in the end, he did not occupy Dark Knight Town. He only destroyed it and left. Now that he saw this map of the Taiyan Kingdom's territory distribution, even though he knew that the Taiyan Kingdom was very powerful, he felt calm. Zhou looked at the regional map of the Taiyan Kingdom. The more he looked, the more surprised he was about the strength of the Taiyan Kingdom. However, the Taiyan Kingdom actually had a total of 54 regional territories. Among them, there was 1 extraordinary tier regional territory, 3 diamond tier regional territory, 11 white platinum tier regional territory, 22 yellow gold tier regional territory, and 17 green bronze tier regional territory. There was not a single black iron tier region. Zhou thought for a moment, and had a guess. He had probably fused them all like him. Previously, he also had many black iron tier territories, and had already fused them all. No wonder the Aurora Kingdom, which has fighting power, asked me for help. Zhou sighed. Then, he began to observe the distribution of the territory near Dark Knight Town. Then he raised his eyebrows. This was because Zhou realized the main territory of the Taiyan Kingdom was to the west of the Aurora Kingdom, an entire kingdom away from the territory where Blazing Sun City was. The area where Dark Knight Town was located was surprisingly in a small-tailed area of the Taiyan Kingdom. There were not many powerful territories nearby. At most, there was only 1 white platinum tier Scarlet Lord territory. With Zhou's current strength, it was not impossible to fight against such a Scarlet Lord's territory. After all, with Nazario's current strength and hero fate level slot, as long as the Taiyan Kingdom did not mobilize its heroes, the possibility of them losing was extremely small. According to his understanding, the heroes of the Taiyan Kingdom were currently confronting the heroes of the Aurora Kingdom on the battlefield thousands of kilometers away. There was no way to worry about him. Zhou immediately thought with excitement. Chapter 302 Zhou's decision. Monster Ranch gains. Zhou thought for a moment, and quickly made a decision. Since there were no powerful helpers near Dark Knight Town, then continue fighting along Dark Knight Town. Even if the last thing they wanted to see happened, the extraordinary tier hero of the Taiyan Kingdom came to them. Then they could also retreat strategically with the help of the Sandstorm, Forbidden Land, and Black Ghost. In short, it was not very dangerous. He could definitely give it a try. Then continue to attack the territory of the Taiyan Kingdom along Dark Knight Town tomorrow. Zhou thought. It would be best if he could obtain 2 yellow gold tier territory tokens. Then he could also upgrade his territory again. Then he looked at the Netherbark Kingdom in the east. This kingdom did not have a complete map of the regional territories. It only drew some maps of the peripheral territories. On its right side, there was some information about its kingdom. Netherbark Kingdom. A kingdom established by the Kobolds. It is a religious country. All the Kobolds in the kingdom believe in Thanatos, the god of death, and have built a large number of temples. Their pope is also a king. They have a total of 3 extraordinary tier regional territories, 6 diamond tier regional territories, a total of 86 regional territories. Zhou raised his eyebrows, so this Netherbark Kingdom was a religious country that believed in Thanatos, the god of death. Moreover, it was created by the Kobolds. He could not help but think of the Kobold tribe he had once destroyed. It was also from that place that he obtained the Holy Spirit tier Faith Divine Crystal, and used it to exchange for the Death Immunity Scroll that saved his life. It was also from that place that he obtained the Holy Spirit tier Faith Divine Crystal, and used it to exchange for the Death Immunity Scroll that saved his life. Zhou felt that it was very likely. What surprised him was, not only did the Netherbark Kingdom have 86 regional territories, but there were also 3 extraordinary tier regional territories, which was more than the powerful Taiyan Kingdom. This Netherbark Kingdom is probably even stronger than the Taiyan Kingdom. Zhou thought. Then, he continued to read the information about this kingdom, and realized that it was also fighting against the Aurora Kingdom. Moreover, the reason was shockingly to spread faith by force. What kind of luck does the Aurora Kingdom have? The corners of Zhou's mouth twitched. In the north was the Titan Kingdom, in the east was the Netherbark Kingdom, and in the west was the Taiyan Kingdom. He was actually sandwiched by 3 kingdoms. It was not easy to survive until now. No wonder Leo was so worried every day. However, he realized that his situation was not too good. As people who were close to the Aurora Kingdom, once the Aurora Kingdom could not withstand the pincer attack of the 3 countries, then he would probably become their next target. When Zhou thought of this, he became determined to attack the area near Dark Knight Town again. It would be best if he could join forces with the Aurora Kingdom to deal with the Taiyan Kingdom first. This way, the Aurora Kingdom's pressure would be greatly reduced, and they would be able to deal with the Titan Kingdom and the Underworld Bark Kingdom more easily. He could also increase the strength of his territory during this process, and gradually gather the conditions to establish a kingdom. After he built his kingdom, with his Lord talent, it would definitely be easy to deal with the Titan Kingdom and the Netherbark Kingdom. Well done. I'm very satisfied with this map. Zhou's gaze shifted from the map to Wu Tu's face. He looked at this young face and nodded in satisfaction. This is my duty. As long as my lord is satisfied. Wu Tu knelt on one knee and said respectfully. However, Zhou could still see an excited smile on his face. Zhou smiled. Go get your military merits from Elder Zheng. If you can bring me better map information next time, I'll reward you handsomely, he said. As for what the reward was, Zhou already had an idea. There was also an extraordinary tier hero inheritance that could be inherited from the Night Temple. Originally, he was not sure of the candidate, but now, looking at Wu Tu, Zhou suddenly realized that he had forgotten about this person, who had made many contributions behind his back. Without Wu Tu's map along the way, Even though his development would not be much different, he would definitely not be able to reach his current level. Wu Tu's contribution was definitely worth an extraordinary tier hero's inheritance. Yes, my lord. I promise I won't disappoint you, my lord. When Wu Tu heard Zhou words, he could not help but look forward to it. After chatting for a while, Wu Tu bade farewell and left. After he left, Zhou dealt with some territory matters before returning to his room to rest. The next day, early in the morning, in the bedroom, after Zhou woke up, he washed up briefly and walked out of the Lord Manor to the gate of summoning. A text notification appeared. Prompt. Do you want to summon immediately? Yes. Zhou looked at the gate of summoning. The next second, the gate of summoning suddenly lit up with a bright white light. Then a large number of subjects walked out. After more than half an hour, only then did 725 new subjects walk out of the gate of summoning. Greetings, my lord. X725. The 725 new subjects said respectfully. Welcome to Blazing Sun City. Zhou acknowledged. Then, he asked all the professionals to stand up and realized that he had summoned a total of 32 professionals. Zhou nodded slightly. Normally speaking, he should summon 24 professionals. This time, he actually summoned 32 people, which meant he had freeloaded 6 professionals. I like to freeload, he thought. Then, Zhou began to check their attribute information. A moment later, the inspection was completed. Among the 32 professionals, there was a yellow gold tier intermediate grade blacksmith, a yellow gold tier intermediate grade tailor, a yellow gold tier intermediate grade martial artist, and a yellow gold tier intermediate grade adventurer. There were also 2 yellow gold tier elementary grade sword shield soldiers, 2 yellow gold tier elementary grade wind cavalrymen, and 3 yellow gold tier elementary grade sentinels. The rest were green bronze and black iron tier life professionals and combat professionals. I actually summoned an adventurer. Zhou was a little surprised. Then he did not think too much about it. He handed them all to Elder Zhang and let him make the arrangements. Zhou went to the golem lair and summoned the 126 golems today. He also asked them to join the monster army. After that, Zhou led the soldiers to sweep through the time ruins and brought all the legionaries to the monster ranch. After Mu Gu and Zhao Changshu built it overnight, there was already a new monster ranch of the violent storm demon spirits here. The total number of monster ranches came to 11. A monster ranch had 3,500 ranch monsters. 10 monster ranches were a total of 38,500 ranch monsters. Today, the total number of my soldiers will exceed the 100,000 mark. Zhou thought expectantly. Then he ordered 90,596 soldiers to start cleaning up the 38,500 ranch monsters. In less than half an hour, all the ranch monsters were wiped out. The soldiers then spent another half an hour extracting the loot from 10 conquerors' blast furnaces. With the effect of the perfect loots and his titles, other than the +1 quality monster flesh, skill books, potion formulas, equipment materials, fire demon fogwolf outfits, vitality potion, jade sun tree seed, and other items, a total of 210,226 green bronze tier mist cores, 81,397 white silver tier mist cores, 97,158 yellow gold tier mist cores, and 21,336 white platinum tier mist cores have been obtained. 81,467 soldier type class change certificates, 4,124 sword shield soldier recruitment books, 4,213 Pudeo soldiers recruitment books, 4,067 poison crossbow soldier recruitment books, 384 elemental archer recruitment books, 12,462 aurora cavalry recruitment books, 17,500 violent storm spirit recruitment books, 17,500 violent storm spirit class change certificates, 23,800 wind elemental gems, 16,800 thunder elemental gems, 40 pieces of proof of legion, 51,269 kilograms of light drawing crystals, 3,500 tree core gems, green bronze tier, white silver tier, yellow gold tier, white platinum tier, 16,712 True Faith Tier Grade Scarlet Crystals. 13,167 Pious Tier Grade Scarlet Crystals. 8,621 Fanatic Tier Grade Scarlet Crystals. 2 Yellow Gold Tier Mount Contracts. Zhou didn't look at other loots, but directly looked at the number of recruitment books in it. He calculated in his mind, and then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. 42,850 recruitment books. As long as they are all summoned from the summoning gate, his number of soldiers will reach 134,446. That was indeed the case. No upgrade of the Monster Ranch has ever disappointed him. Chapter 303 White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Soldier. Feng Luo with a great change in disposition. Zhou called Wuxia and brought the 42,850 recruitment books to the gate of summoning. Then he began to summon new recruits. Then he did not care much and let Wuxia gather the new recruits here. He opened the marketplace and threw in 80,000 basic military profession change certificates, as well as excess materials, skill books, equipment, and other items. Then he directly announced the transaction. In less than a moment, this transaction was ranked first on the transaction viewership rankings. Zhou closed the marketplace interface and quietly waited for the recruitment to end. Half an hour later, 42,850 soldiers walked out of the gate of summoning and joined the Blazing Sun Army, coupled with the 12 elemental archers recruited from the Time Ruins and the 126 golems in the Golem Lair. At this point, the total number of soldiers under Zhou had officially reached 134,584. Now I have an army of 100,000. The number of soldiers under my command can exceed 200,000 by the day after tomorrow. His eyes lit up. At this rate of development, in less than a month, he could have 1,000,000 troops. When the time comes, he would have the ability to declare war on a kingdom. After a while, Bai Yin walked quickly to him from afar. "I've something to report, my lord. I just finished counting the soldiers' breakthroughs. A total of 81,600 soldiers have broken through this time. 21,617 have advanced to Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade and Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade amongst them. 33,500 people will advance from Black Iron Tier to Green Bronze Tier. 23,437 people have advanced to the White Silver Tier. 2,882 people have advanced to Yellow Gold Tier. 164 people broke through to the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Our army has a total of 40,370 Black Iron Rank soldiers, 51,913 Bronze soldiers. White Silver Tier, 37,644. 4,355 Yellow Gold Tiers. 164 White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. In addition, I just broke through to the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Maris has also broken through to the Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. Bai Yin said respectfully. Zhou was pleasantly surprised. He remembered that after clearing the Monster Ranch yesterday, only 28,000 people had broken through, and none of them had broken through to the White Platinum Tier. More than 81,000 people had broken through today. The number was nearly 3 times more than yesterday. Moreover, 164 people had broken through to the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. White Platinum Tier Military Professionals. This was already within the strength of a legendary tier talent, which meant, even if he no longer obtained the reputation rating, at least 100 soldiers would break through to the White Platinum Tier, just by clearing the Monster Ranch every day. It might even be higher in the future. The most important thing was naturally the Lord talent that had been upgraded to the White Platinum Tier level. Blessing of the 10 Gods. Blessing of the War God. Yesterday, this Lord talent would only give the combat-type professionals under him an additional 400% promotion energy. Now he would directly obtain an additional 2,000% promotion energy. It could be said that he had improved tremendously. Otherwise, he would definitely not have been able to obtain such an improvement today. I'm about to break through to Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade. Zhou sensed the promotional energy in his body and realized that it was about to break through. He estimated that he would be able to successfully break through after killing a few hundred more monsters. At this moment, the exchange sent out a notification. Zhou took a look. He realized that he had just completed the transaction. He looked at the transaction results. Trade result: 289,637,136 black iron tier mist cores. There were nearly 300 million black iron tier mist cores. Zhou nodded slightly. This number was within his expectations. After that, Zhou did not enter the Lord battlefield to begin his ranking. Instead, he came to the Night Temple and fought in front of the heroic spirit hall. "Greetings, Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea," Zhou said respectfully. "There's no hurry. That kid should be out soon." Hidden Sea thought highly of Zhou and chuckled. He did not have the airs of an expert at all. Zhou smiled and nodded. Then the two of them started chatting. A moment later, rumble. The door of the heroic spirit hall slowly opened. Then, a mighty man wearing black general armor and holding a tall saber walked out of the door. It was none other than Feng Luo. The current him was completely different from when he first arrived. Feng Luo, who had just arrived in the territory, looked like a downtrodden young man who had been through many wars and had been searching for his dream of peace. Even though he was a sword-shield soldier, he had extremely powerful strength and exquisite saber techniques. This made him look less like a sword-shield soldier and more like a machete man who wanted to change the world. And now, Feng Luo's ambition remains unchanged. However, his aura had already changed. Not only was his gaze more determined and steady than before, but he also had the aura of a great general and the unparalleled chivalry of a martial artist. If one had to use one word to summarize it, that is hero. Subordinate Feng Luo. "Greetings, my lord." Feng Luo came up to Zhou and knelt on one knee. "Looks like you've grown a lot." Zhou lamented. She helped him up. "Thank you, my lord, for giving me the chance to accept Senior Zun Wu's hero inheritance. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today." Feng Luo stood up and said gratefully. Zhou smiled. He didn't say anything. How alike. It's just that he lacks the aura of the martial Tao Supreme that Zun Wu had back then. However, he is him and you are you. There's nothing wrong with that. The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea laughed. "Thank you, Senior." Feng Luo cupped his fists. The two of them felt that the Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea was right. Zun Wu was Zun Wu, and Feng Luo was Feng Luo. If Feng Luo only wanted to imitate Zun Wu and walk down his old path, he would only be at a disadvantage. In the end, he might not even be able to reach Zun Wu's height back then. If Feng Luo could persevere and walk his own path, he might even reach Zun Wu's level, or even surpass him. I might have completely accepted Senior Zun Wu's inheritance, but I still feel that the saber path I've grasped so far has not reached the end of the saber path. If there's a chance in the future, I might really use the saber and shield combination technique to test the heroes of the world. Feng Luo smiled. Naturally, he was not imitating. Instead, he was walking his own path. It was just that it coincidentally had the same thoughts as Zun Wu back then. What's so hard about that? The Lord Guardian of the Hidden Sea pointed at Zhou and said, "Your lord's ambition is to be at the peak of the lords of the myriad races. In the future, follow your lord well, and fight for him in the Supreme Continent. At that time, the heroes of the Supreme Continent will naturally become your whetstone." Zun Wu's martial arts conference back then was only an empire-level martial arts conference. If you can conquer an empire, or even a divine kingdom for your lord, what would be so difficult about surpassing Zun Wu and reaching the end of the saber path? Chapter 304 10-Directional Martial Emperor, Feng Luo. "Lord Father." "Thank you, Senior." "That's exactly what I was thinking," Feng Luo said seriously. "I'm willing to fight for the Lord until the last drop of my blood," he said respectfully and firmly to Zhou. Zhou smiled and nodded. Then he opened his personal information. Subject: Feng Luo Hero. Hero title: 10-Directional Martial Emperor. Position: Epic Tier Heroes. Fate level: Territory: Blazing Sun City. Strength level: White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Ability Overview. Originally a wandering sword shield warrior with good talent in the saber path. His dream was to open up a peaceful place for living beings who had suffered from war. Later, he joined Blazing Sun City and was recognized by the city lord of Blazing Sun City. He was given the hero inheritance and became a hero. Bloodline. Human Bloodline, Epic Tier Advanced Grade. 100%. Skills. Hero Skill 10 Directions Martial Arts Hero Skill. One Blade Ultimate Hero Skill. Martial Suppression of 10 Directions. Talent, Saber Intent Illumination. High-level Deity Intermediate Level Extreme Emperor Heavenly Saber. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Emperor Heavenly Saber Bone. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Emperor Heavenly Saber Chi. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Emperor Saber. Energy. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Emperor Heavenly Saber Shield Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme. Heavenly Saber 13/. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Saber and Shield Combination Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Shield Combat Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Arrow Combat Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Saber Combat Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Spear Combat Technique. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Extreme Emperor Combat Body. Loyalty. 100 Dead Loyal. Potential. Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Hero Biography. 1. Feng Luo wandered around the countries of the human race and rescued some suffering human beings. He was somewhat famous in some kingdoms of the human race. Hero Individual Legendary Tier Rating +1. Human Reputation +500. 2. Under the blessing of the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance of the 10-directional Martial Emperor and became the second-generation 10-directional Martial Emperor. Hero Individual Legendary Tier Rating +1. Human Reputation +10,000. High Continent Reputation +5. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. Not bad. His foundation was not much weaker than Bai Yen and Wu Xian. Then he looked at the other party's 3 hero skills. Hero Skill 10 Directional Martial Arts. Feng Luo had grasped a vast number of martial arts inheritances. Any seemingly perfect attack was flawed in his eyes. Moreover, he could calculate a way to crack the other party's attack at any time. This skill could be said to be a 1v1 divine skill. The longer Feng Luo fought an opponent of the same level, the more he would understand his opponent's fighting style and countermeasures. The less likely his opponent's chances of winning would be, and he would almost certainly lose in the end. If he wanted to defeat Feng Luo, he could only rely on real strength or realm suppression to prevent Feng Luo from exerting his advantage in technique. Hero Skill 1 Blade Ultimate. A single target attack type hero skill. Any swing would contain all of Feng Luo's martial arts comprehension. It would also be Feng Luo's most powerful slash. Its power could be strengthened as Feng Luo's understanding of the saber path deepened. Hero Skill, Martial Suppression of 10 Directions, Battlefield Type Hero Skill. When Feng Luo is on the battlefield, the more enemies surrounded him, the more he would be stimulated by the pressure he felt. He would constantly obtain enhancements in defense, offensive ability, and long-term combat ability. This skill could give Feng Luo a huge advantage in group battles. But it was also a hero skill that danced on the edge of a knife. If he survived, he would be able to attain legendary tier. However, there was a high chance that he would die in an army of 10,000 if he was not careful. It was a hero skill that allowed one to fight to the death. However, the battlefield was not a solo battle after all. It was not very dangerous to use it with the army providing support at the back. After that, Zhou and Feng Luo bade farewell to Hidden Sea and left the Night Temple. After leaving, Zhou let Feng Luo return to the Blazing Sun Army, before he went to the Imperial Ancestral Temple. In front of the ancestral altar, Zhou looked at the altar, and realized that the upper limit of the offerings on the altar had become 50 offerings below the value of yellow gold tier mist cores. He placed 50 yellow gold tier mist cores without hesitation. Soon, the altar lit up slightly. Then, the 50 yellow gold tier mist cores on it disappeared. A text notification appeared. You have obtained an ancestral blessing. Fight to the death, Special War Enhancement. Fight to the death. Special war enhancement after the subjects under the Lord enter combat state. They can ignore the fear of death in their hearts and fight the enemy to the death. Duration 6 hours. Zhou eyes lit up. Fight to the death. A new ancestral blessing. Moreover, this ancestral blessing looked quite effective. Everyone had the fear of death. Zhou, who had mastered many lord talents, was no exception. What more his soldiers? When he first arrived in the high continent, he often saw some soldiers who were so afraid that they could not fight, and even turned around to escape. Towards such soldiers fleeing on the battlefield, Zhou only got someone to carry out relatively harsh physical punishments, but he did not kill them directly. At that time, they were all recruits after all. He still had a lot of tolerance for the performance of the recruits. With the appearance of the Lord talent of peace and prosperity, the subjects became more and more loyal to him, indirectly causing fewer and fewer soldiers to escape on the battlefield. Later on, he won every battle. In addition to the appearance of heroes like Bai Yin and Wuxia, the morale and military appearance of the soldiers were gradually nurtured, and there were even fewer soldiers escaping. He rarely saw soldiers escaping on the battlefield now. Thank you, ancestors. Zhou offered incense to the 3 ancestors respectfully before leaving the Imperial Ancestral Temple. He came to the army base and saw that all the soldiers were ready to fight. He did not hesitate and told them to prepare to enter the Lord Battlefield. Then, he opened the Lord Battlefield option and began to match. Matching with your queuing opponent. Match successful. Entering the battlefield. After the world changed, Zhou looked at the world in front of him. This was a vast snow plain. Heavy snowfall fell from the sky. Under the sharp cold wind, it landed on people's faces like a cold stone. He looked into the distance. A technological mechanical barrier stood there. Floating silver-white robots and silver-white technological weapons were quietly arranged there. An acquaintance? Zhou was surprised. At this moment, a text notification appeared. You have entered the Mythical Tier Advanced Grade Battlefield. You and your opponent have been randomly assigned to the Mythical Tier Advanced Grade Battlefield, Snow God Plains. Your opponent is Lord of the Machina race, Lord Father. Condition to defeat the enemy. Kill all the enemy forces within 24 hours. If you exceed the time limit, both sides will be judged to have negative battle results. Ranking -1. You have 10 minutes to deploy your forces. Countdown 9 minutes 59 seconds. What a pity. It's not the Black Radium Lord from back then. Zhou muttered to himself. He had rarely lost on the Lord battlefield. The Black Radium Lord of the Machina race was one of the battles he lost. At that time, he wanted to see if he could quickly increase his ranking with his Dragon Slayer Lord talent. The first half of the battle was pretty good. He smoothly scored. In the end, he quickly encountered a Machina race lord without any bloodline. The Dragon Slayer advantage could not be used at all, and was defeated. Even though the Machina race lord in front of him was not the Black Radium Lord, it was a stronger Machina race lord. It was ranked 6th on the Myriad Races Lord battlefield, and was the strongest lord among the lords of the Machina race. Moreover, it was the strongest lord with a mythical tier lord talent. It's a tough battle, but I will still win. Zhou's expression was calm. Things are different now. He was no longer the lord who had relied on the Dragon Slayer Lord talent. Chapter 305 Lord Father's Mythical Tier Talent. Zhou did not think too much about it, and began to recruit people. He first recruited Bai Yin, Wuxia, Feng Luo, Nazario, Auguste, Maris, and the others. Then he recruited another 100,000 soldiers. As for the remaining soldiers, they stayed in reality to protect Blazing Sun City. After all the soldiers appeared, Bai Yin, Wuxia, and the others began to calmly arrange their positions. Zhou looked at Lord Father City in the distance. At this moment, the Lord Father had already summoned his Machina race subject. More than 60,000 Machina race subjects were lined up neatly, looking like cold machines. When the Lord Father saw his subjects, he nodded slightly. The 60,000 Machina race subjects were all combat-type mechanical race. Among them, There were 30,000 black iron tier Machina race members. There were 20,000 green bronze tier Machina race members. There were 9,500 white silver tier Machina race members, and 500 yellow gold tier Machina race members. As a Lord Father type intelligent life form, it had even reached the white platinum tier advanced grade. There were two ways for the Machina race to advance. Firstly, he could increase his energy core level by hunting fog monsters and absorbing promotion energy. When the energy core level was upgraded, he could officially advance to the next level. As for the second method, it was to directly use a large amount of mechanical materials and energy cores to create and increase the level of the Mechanostriders. There was no need to mention the mechanical materials. The energy core was the modified mist core. It could be said that, as long as there were enough materials and energy cores, the Machina race could continuously create Machina people. More than 50,000 of the 60,000 Machina race people in front of Lord Father were made by consuming a large amount of mechanical materials and energy cores. Especially the yellow gold tier Machina race. All of them were created by him. Otherwise, it would already be good enough to advance to the white silver tier at this time, by absorbing promotion energy, to increase his strength level. As for why he could reach the white platinum tier advanced grade, it was a mechanical invention he created through his mythical tier unique lord talent, the ultimate algorithm. He controlled the computational power of all the Machina race. This mechanical invention could allow him to put the intelligent core of his subjects under his own program and turn them into his mechanical clone. This way, the promotion energy they obtained when destroying the fog monsters would all be circulated to Lord Father. Lord Father used this method to gather the promotion energy of some mechanical subjects to quickly increase his strength until he reached the white platinum tier advanced grade. Start launching the Apocalypse satellite, Lord Father ordered. Executing the order. The elemental energy sailboard is normal. The core program environment is normal. Prepare to launch the Apocalypse satellite. 10-9-8651. Launch successfully. Program information gathered from all directions and was accepted by his intelligent core. At the same time, a huge silver-white satellite also shot into the sky, turning into a silver light spot before disappearing. Lord Father looked at this scene calmly. The Apocalypse satellite was another mechanical invention he had created with the ultimate algorithm. It had a high-altitude attack ability and had an extremely wide range. It was extremely powerful. Even the yellow gold tier regional Scarlet Lord had once died to the Apocalypse laser. It could climb all the way to the mythical tier advanced grade on the Lord battlefield. The Apocalypse satellite had contributed greatly. Then, he turned to look at Blazing Sun City in the distance. Looking at it this way, he immediately frowned. The human lord is the lord of the blazing sun. Why does he have so many subjects? Is it an opportunity he saw in reality or a lord talent effect? The other party has high-energy creatures. And there's more than one. So many high-energy creatures. Lord Father was shocked. As a super-intelligent life form, it naturally had something similar to emotions. However, it was different from Live's interpretation of emotions. The Machina race believed that emotions were a high-precision calculation reaction that had been super-compressed. After a long evolution, life condenses this computational response into instant or lasting emotions. The Machina race worshipped the evolution of such life forms and called it a computational miracle. This was also why the Machina race had always wanted to transform into a mechanical life form. To the Machina race, life was the end of Machina evolution. 10 minutes later, deployment time has ended. The battle has begun. Jojo looked at Lord Father City in the distance. He knew that the Machina race was planning to fight a positional battle, seeing that the other party had no intention of leaving the city. He was not afraid at all. Just as he was about to send troops out to fight, a white laser descended from the sky and shot straight at Jojo's head. Jojo reacted immediately. However, before he could defend the next second, Feng Luo, who was standing beside him, had already jumped high into the air. He flew in the air, his eyes calm. He held the saber with both hands and suddenly slashed down at the white laser. Emperor Heavenly Saber Chi. A golden saber energy shot out and collided with the laser 1,000 meters away in the blink of an eye. Right on the heels of that, the laser was crushed by the Emperor Heavenly Saber Chi without any suspense. Then it shot in the direction of the satellite and finally disappeared into the sky. Zhou looked up at this scene. His sixth senses was astonishing. He could clearly see that the Emperor Heavenly Saber Chi could not continue forward after flying more than 7,000 meters because its energy was exhausted and it collapsed in the air. The height of the Apocalypse satellite was 15,000 meters. Feng Luo also saw this scene. That thing is like a sword hanging in the sky. We can't let them live. He looked at the Apocalypse satellite, and a sharp golden saber light appeared in his eyes. Then his entire body turned into a huge golden saber. The huge golden saber appeared in midair and suddenly shot into the sky. Heavenly Saber Shield Technique. Lord Father seemed to have sensed something, and his expression changed slightly. He immediately asked the Apocalypse satellite to move its position, while letting it shoot 40 to 50 Apocalypse lasers at the golden saber. Facing these Apocalypse lasers, the golden saber did not even dodge and rushed straight towards the Apocalypse satellite. The 40 to 50 apocalyptic lasers quickly landed on the surface of the golden saber. However, what made Lord Father's expression change was that this huge golden saber actually seemed to be invincible. These apocalyptic lasers could not even break through its defense. They were shattered by the saber energy on the surface of the golden saber and disappeared into the air. The next second, rumble. After the golden saber approached the Apocalypse satellite, it immediately restored to Feng Luo's appearance. Heavenly Saber 13 slash. He slashed 13 more slashes that were even sharper and more domineering dark golden saber chi that landed on the Apocalypse satellite. There was a loud bang. The Apocalypse satellite immediately exploded into countless fragments and fell to the ground. Feng Luo casually waved a few saber chi and crushed these fragments into powder. Then, as if he had done something insignificant, he flew down calmly and landed beside Zhou. My lord, the threat from the sky is resolved, Feng Luo said respectfully. Chapter 306 Terrifying Greedy Wolf Avatar. Well done. Zhou was not stingy with his praise at all. Then, he looked in the direction of Lord Father City with a cold gaze. Bai Yin Wuxian. I'm here. Lead our troops to attack and capture Lord Father City. Yes, the two of them said in unison. Then, they immediately led an army of 80,000 out of Blazing Sun City, leaving only 20,000 poison crossbow soldiers in charge of guarding the city. Zhou was not idle either. He took out the Emperor of Sand's Glory Scepter and used half of the energy in his body to summon 50 white silver tier advanced grade sand cavalrymen. Then, under the desert protection effect of the scepter, these 50 white silver tier advanced grade sand cavalrymen were all upgraded to yellow gold tier elementary grade. Then, he used a quarter of his energy to summon a white silver tier advanced grade Chaos Tree Demon boss. Zhou looked at the Chaos Tree Demon boss. This Chaos Tree Demon boss was more than 100 meters tall. It was completely grayish-black and was surrounded by chaotic fog. A pair of blood-red eyes appeared and disappeared in the chaotic fog, looking quite terrifying. However, Zhou could feel that when the other party's gaze landed on it, its eyes were immediately filled with extremely pure loyalty. He nodded slightly in his heart. Then when he felt the energy contained in the other party's body, he was immediately shocked. The feeling that the other party gave him was not inferior to a white silver tier advance grade regional Scarlet Lord. It had clearly far exceeded it. According to Zhou's experience, this Chaos Tree Demon boss was probably not inferior to a yellow gold tier regional Scarlet Lord. Go on. Follow my army and destroy the enemies in front. Zhou did not think too much about it and ordered the Chaos Tree Demon boss and 50 sand cavalrymen. They silently accepted the order and left Blazing Sun City, following the army towards Lord Father City. Just as they were about to approach Lord Father City, Wuxian, who was riding on the blinding light and standing at the front of the soldiers, suddenly took out a blood wolf totem. It was the greedy wolf totem. He looked at the greedy wolf painting. After 2 days of practice, he could use it freely. Activate the array. Greedy Wolf Moon Howling Array. Wuxia immediately ordered. Under the influence of the hero's skill, desired military morale, the soldiers began to change their formation rapidly after receiving the order. In the blink of an eye, 80,000 soldiers arranged themselves in a vivid greedy wolf posture on the snow. Up! Wuxia shouted. Blood-colored military formation murderous auras formed by essence, chi, and spirit flew out of the bodies of the 80,000 soldiers. The murderous aura of the blood-colored military formation gathered in the sky, and finally formed a blood-colored divine wolf. It was 300 to 400 meters tall. Its entire body was blood red, and there were blood-colored stars flickering faintly in its body. It was wearing blood-red ferocious armor, and its eyes were actually dark silver, revealing a high and mighty feeling of ignoring life forms. It was the greedy wolf avatar. Moreover, because the soldiers forming it were all extraordinary, and the number of soldiers had reached 80,000, its strength had shockingly reached the limit of the extraordinary tier intermediate grade. Extraordinary tier intermediate grade was the upper limit of the strength that the greedy wolf totem could reach. Otherwise, with the strength of these 80,000 soldiers, they could form an extraordinary tier advanced grade greedy wolf avatar. However, it was no longer important. Even if it could only reach the extraordinary tier intermediate grade, it was also enough to make it impossible for the yellow gold tier advanced grade Nazario and the yellow gold tier elementary grade Auguste to resist. Not to mention Lord Father. However, this Lord Father did not give up easily. He did not want to fall from his ranking so easily. All Machina race soldiers, all of you leave the city and kill the enemy. Prepare to fire the 4 phases origin cannon. Divine Armament Energy Shield activated. He quickly conveyed his orders to his 60,000 Machina race subjects. Rumble. The door of Lord Father City automatically opened. 60,000 Machina race soldiers walked out of the city in an orderly manner and rushed towards Greedy Wolf Avatar. While charging, all kinds of high-tech arms appeared on their bodies, and they shot at the Greedy Wolf Avatar. Countless high-energy bullets and cannonballs tore through the sky towards the Greedy Wolf Avatar. However, it floated and stopped a few meters away from Greedy Wolf Avatar. The Greedy Wolf Avatar did not even need to spend any effort to defend. The invisible and qualitative pressure on its body alone was enough to isolate these attacks below white platinum tier. The next second, on the city wall of Lord Father City, 100-meter-tall silver-white cannon slowly raised the barrel. Then it began to condense yellowish-brown, blue, sky blue, and scarlet energy at the mouth of the cannon. It was the 4 phases origin cannon. This was also an invention created by Lord Father through the ultimate algorithm. Even though it was only a white platinum tier advanced grade cannon, it could crush any life form below the extraordinary tier level. 3 seconds later, these 4 energies gathered into a 4-colored ball of light. With a buzzing sound, the 4-colored ball of light shot towards Greedy Wolf Avatar. In just an instant, it flew in front of the Greedy Wolf Avatar. The Greedy Wolf Avatar opened its bloody mouth calmly and swallowed the 4-colored ball of light under Lord Father's shocked gaze. It smacked its lips and opened its mouth again. A ball of blood-red army extermination light ball condensed in its mouth and shot towards Lord Father City. In the blink of an eye, it hit the supreme barrier of Father City and quickly broke it. Right on the heels of that, it hit the divine armament energy barrier again. This was also a city defense invention, created by Lord Father, with the ultimate algorithm. It could withstand diamond tier energy attacks at most. However, it only lasted for a second before shattering with a bang and crashing into Lord Father City against this blood-red army extermination light ball. Rumble. It was as if lightning had destroyed the world, and light and darkness alternated. The ground shook violently. Lord Father was obliterated in the terrifying military explosion before he could even react. When the Machina race soldiers who had just left the city looked back, blood-red ruins were already everywhere. Where's my home? Where's my fucking big Lord Father City? All the Machina race soldiers were stunned. Jojo was also stunned. Fuck. This greedy wolf totem was actually so powerful? This was a top lord of all races ranked number 6th after all. His home was actually destroyed by the greedy wolf avatar cannon? Ridiculous. Only then did Jojo realize. What kind of shocking treasure did he exchange for from the King of Eternal Silence and his wife? At the same time, even though Bai Yin, Wuxia, and the others were also shocked by the combat strength of the greedy wolf avatar, they quickly came back to their senses and immediately controlled greedy wolf avatar to sweep through the Machina race soldiers wantonly. Its casual strike could kill dozens or hundreds of Machina race soldiers. Occasionally, a large amount of violent storm would spew out of its mouth, causing the Machina race soldiers to suffer heavy losses. In addition, Nazario, Auguste, Maris, and the others were killed at the side. In less than half an hour, all the remaining Machina race soldiers fell on the battlefield. During this slaughter, Jojo had also successfully broken through to the yellow gold tier elementary grade. A text notification appeared. You have defeated the Machina race lord, Lord Father, mythical tier advanced grade lord. You have won this ranking competition. Congratulations, you have obtained 100,000 battlefield points. Congratulations, you have obtained 45 ranking points. Ranking system notification. Your current ranking score is 45. Please continue ranking and obtain ranking scores to increase your ranking. You need to participate in at least one ranking competition every 3 days. Otherwise, your ranking score will drop. Chapter 307 The Warning from the Extreme Venerable Lord. That's it. Jojo looked at the battlefield in front of him, and the greedy wolf avatar standing proudly in the sky with surprise in the depths of his eyes. Then a smile appeared on his face. This greedy wolf avatar gave him too much of a surprise. Originally, he thought that his greatest trump cards were the yellow gold tier advanced grade Nazario, and the 2 growing armies other than the Dragon Slayer will. He did not expect the greedy wolf avatar to have such power. This strength had already far exceeded Nazario's power. Other than the Lord talent of the dragon-slaying hometown that could not be used, the greedy wolf avatar could already be considered the strongest method he had mastered and could be used normally. At this moment, Bai Yin walked over and reported the situation to him. Then, Jojo was pleasantly surprised to know that no one had died in this battle. Not a single person was injured. The soldiers were at most a little tired. Then, Bai Yin told Jojo the reason. This was because when the soldiers used the greedy wolf moon howling array, and when the greedy wolf avatar appeared, the soldiers who set up the array would be protected by it. The damage from the outside world could not hurt the soldiers in the greedy wolf avatar at all. The only way to hurt the soldiers who set up the array was to break the greedy wolf avatar. Once the greedy wolf avatar was broken, as the provider and foundation of the greedy wolf avatar, the soldier's spirit and body would be injured at the same time. As for the size of the injuries, it depended on the strength and number of soldiers. The stronger the soldiers were, the fewer injuries they would suffer and vice versa. A greedy wolf totem could accommodate up to 200,000 soldiers to form the foundation of an array. Even though he only used 80,000 soldiers to reach the strongest strength of the greedy wolf avatar, another 120,000 people could also increase the duration of the greedy wolf avatar's battle. This greedy wolf totem, if only there were a few more. Jojo could not help but think after hearing Bai Yin's report. This military formation that could use a large number of soldiers was simply too suitable for a lord like him, who could increase the number of soldiers every day. If he had 8 to 10 greedy wolf totems, he would not have to worry about the arrangements of the recruited soldiers for a long time. Unfortunately, there was only one. Then, he opened the rankings and looked at his ranking. Cerulean Planet Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun rank, Mythical Tier Advanced Grade 45 points, Battlefield ranking 7th. This ranking had already surpassed Lord Father, who was now in 8th place. The 9th was still the Extreme Venerable Lord of the Extreme Dragon race. As for the person ranked in front of him, it was a Great Dream Lord from the Void race. Jojo was quite satisfied. After all, it had directly increased by 2 ranks. After that, he led the soldiers out of the snow god plains and rested for half an hour. After letting the soldiers recover their spirit, he continued to rank. However, he waited for about an hour. The second ranking took a long time. You have entered the mythical tier advanced grade battlefield. You and your opponent have been randomly assigned to the mythical tier advanced grade battlefield, Sun Furnace. Your opponent is Extreme Dragon Race Lord, Extreme Venerable Lord. Condition to defeat the enemy: kill all the enemy forces within 24 hours. If you exceed the time limit, both sides will be judged to have negative battle results. Ranking score -20. Those with insufficient ranking score, rank -1. You have 10 minutes to deploy your forces. Countdown, 9 minutes, 59 seconds. Zhou looked at the world in front of him. This was a huge black-red space. The air flickered with flames that could barely illuminate the place. An extremely intense heat spread throughout the surroundings. Even the soldiers under his command, who were soldier-type professionals, could not help but sweat. The more it looked, the more he thought about it, the more it felt like a black and red lid. Coupled with the name of this Lord Battlefield, Zhou suddenly had a bold guess. Could this be inside a place called the Sun Furnace? He looked into the distance. A silver-white dragon nest that was 3,000 to 4,000 meters tall stood there. A silver dragon more than 1,500 meters tall flew in the air and looked at Zhou calmly. Zhou also looked at him. Human race. You must be the Lord of the Blazing Sun. The Extreme Venerable Lord said telepathically. Yes. Zhou was not surprised that the other party knew mental communication. Such a high-level bloodline existence. He was not surprised by any abilities. It's rare for a low-level race to reach the mythical tier advanced grade. Zhou initially thought that the other party was praising him. However, its next words let Zhou know that he was wrong. I can remind you on account that there are members of my dragon race among your subjects. I think you're probably able to reach this position because of your mythical tier unique Lord talent. Your Lord talent should be quite outstanding among the many mythical tier Lord talents. But it's useless. The Lord talent you rely on is actually nothing to us top lords of all races. For example, our extreme dragon race is the top pure-blooded dragon race among the dragons. The many dragon civilization inheritances that we awaken as our strength increases. Any core inheritance we take out is comparable to the mythical tier Lord talent of some low-level races. Our bloodline alone is comparable to the top bloodline of the mythical tier, unique Lord talent. Another example is the original spirit race. They were born with a small world that could constantly grow. It could be said that they were born with the resources of an entire small world. As long as they reached adulthood, they could become a world lord, which was the true god tier level of the high continent. Another example is the Chaos Gods race. From the moment they were born, their sea of consciousness had nurtured a chaos godhead. The foundation to become a god had long been established. As long as they grew step by step, they could break through to the true god tier without any suspense. Even the Machina race lord you just defeated, Lord Father. His life core also has the inheritance of a super technology civilization that has developed for hundreds of thousands of years. As long as he satisfies the requirements to activate the level authority, he will be able to use the technology inside at will. He can completely recreate the Machina race's super technology civilization in the high continent in a short period of time. This far exceeds the so-called mythical tier, unique Lord talent. The extreme dragon race had a rather profound inheritance of the dragon race civilization and could casually tell the secrets of many top lords of the myriad races. Or rather, it was a semi-open fact among the top lords. Just as he said, as lords of a top race, the inheritance and foundation they had were not something that a simple mythical tier lord talent could compare to. Zhou listened quietly, even though he was unwilling to admit it, but he had to admit that these top-notch lords were indeed much stronger than him. However, his expression did not change at all. Seeing him like this, the extreme venerable lord thought that he still could not recognize the situation. He shook his head and said calmly, "You might be able to lead them by a few points now. But as time passed, what will you do when the top lords of all races gradually master the civilization power of their respective races again? In the end, you can only dominate within your race. You might even die at the hands of the lords of other races halfway. Recognize the situation, human lord. The extreme venerable lord looked down at him and said, "You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."